Hello and welcome to the Old Man Orange podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunigan.
Dude, that is an awesome fucking hat you got there.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I wore it for, I don't know why, I just decided to wear a hat for an audio podcast, but I got this Sonic hat. It's all like, I'm not much of a hat person.
Is that like beads that the Sonic face is made out of?
No, it's some kind of, it's like some kind of like woven texture. I'm not sure if that's the proper word, woven.
Woven?
No. Woven, yeah. And it's like basically it's kind of like Sonic giving you it's made to look like the 16-bit pixelated face of Sonic when he's looking at you like, dude, what the fuck? Why aren't we moving? When he has his arms crossed, tapping his foot.
He's like, stop eating those fucking Cheetos, you fat fuck.
Yeah.
You're like Sonic.
So it's like you do this thing where you like let the animations go for a while, because I think that was one of the few revolution. I mean, it's small things, but it's kind of, I think that's one of the things that was kind of like surprising about playing Sonic, because that was the first time in a side scroller at that time where you leave a character alone long enough. I mean, this is the first one that comes to mind where he'd be like, "Dude, the fuck, what are you doing?" You know, and he'd like wait long enough, and eventually like point, like he like look at the, like off screen and point like, "Let's fucking go, come on," you know, be tapping his foot. Or if you came to the edge, he'd be like, oh fuck," try not to fall off, you know.
And then if you waited long enough and you left it there, then he'd just go to sleep.
Yeah, exactly. So but anyway.
And then if you waited even longer, he would turn around and he'd look over his shoulder back at you to make sure you weren't looking at him, and then he'd start fucking jerking off.
Yeah. You see like tails right on the screen, like, oh shit, and just kind of leave the other way. Like, oh, I didn't see that. Okay, come on.
And he just starts running up this huge boner.
Just flopping around. No, in short, what I'm wearing is a Sonic hat that he's given the "why the fuck are we running" face.
Not That's the huge boner face.
Yeah, it's not that you walked in on Sonic jerking off face. It's the "why the fuck are we." I guess it could kind of work either way. The face, like, he could be like mad at you, like you know, he walks through like, "Tails, I said go away." It could be like the same face. Really, when it gets down to it.
Is there something on the side of that one too?
It says "don't blink" on the side of it. So I don't know, like.
Don't blink, yeah. I'll fuck.
Like, what? Don't blink in Sonic? Like, he'll just like knock the fuck out of you if you do. You don't know. It's like, it almost seems kind of threatening, doesn't it? Like, don't fucking blink.
You just say like "fuck off" on the back or something like that.
So it's just a Sonic on the back. No, it's a pretty cool hat. I'm just not much of a hat person. It was like one of those hats I liked it so much. Like, well, I might wear it at some point, and I think this is honestly the first time in a year that I've worn this thing, and I don't know. I haven't left the house yet, so.
That's how I am. If I sometimes I'll see a hat, I'm like, that's a cool hat, and I'll buy it, and then I just don't feel comfortable in a hat as much. I can wear it for like a little bit, but
I don't know. I just get this thing. If I still get this weird thing if I'm like, if it's like a cartoon character or something like Sonic, that I feel like people will be judging me, but I don't think people really give a fuck.
See, the older I get, the less I give a fuck. Like, yeah. I just don't care. It's just like, whatever, I'll fucking be that guy out there who's wearing like a Sonic the Hedgehog t-shirt. Fuck you, out of my way.
Yeah. I know. I get all fearful that I'm gonna get judged and all that when it comes like Sonic stuff. Not so much on like Batman or whatever. I don't give a fuck. But now at this point, like, I don't care anymore. So fuck it. I was wearing it. You know?
I got my Shovel Knight t-shirt.
I saw that. It's a really cool t-shirt. I never played the game, but I hear it's pretty cool. Dude, here's all these visual aids you cannot see. Like, oh yeah, this is what I'm wearing today. You folks can't see it. But it is a really cool t-shirt though. I never played the game. But
I saw this and I was like, I gotta get that. That's fucking awesome.
Before we get too into it, I just want to say real quick, I want to thank, do you know who runs the Arnold Radio News Twitter handle? Is that like the Gillinator or Brandon Crum?
That's Randy Jennings in Sacramento.
Oh, that's Randy Jennings that runs the Twitter handle? Okay.
Which I feel bad. He invited me to go. He's like, dude, come see Terminator like at 5:45. And he sent that about like 2:30, and I'm like, he does realize it's going to take me like 2.5 hours to get down to Sacramento, but I didn't get the message till like way late. I'm going to break the fourth wall here for a second. Correction. The Arnold Radio News Twitter handle is ran by the Gillinator, and Randy Jennings runs the Arnold Fans Twitter handle. You can see how you get those confused, right? Well, back to the show.
Well, I wanted to thank them for thank him for like posting on the like giving us a plug on the on Twitter right there regarding our episode. But I do feel bad because I'm listening. I just started listening to the episode where they saw Terminator Genesis, and I'm thinking I liked it, but I re-listened to the episodes like, hey, I'm glad you guys liked it, but Ryan, you seem a little hard on it. I'm like, no, I liked it. But then I was listening to it again, and just like, I do think now I'm going back on. I skipped forward to the Terminator part. I'm just like, I do seem kind of like, it was trying to do this, but it didn't really pan out as well. It was still enjoyable. I just like, fuck, don't tell me I become one of those guys. I did, just to clarify, I did like the movie. I did like the movie, but for whatever reason, it just came across like I just thought it was okay, when I actually really did like the movie.
Yeah, I think the thing is, it's just didn't like as much as 1 and 2, but and it's borderlining with 4, and which is so weird because like almost nobody seems to love 4 except for us. We're always those kind of guys that seem to like the movies or the one movie in like a certain section that nobody else seems to give a flying fuck about.
We're like, I mean, no one, not that people hate it, but we like Young Guns 2 of all things is one of our favorite westerns.
Young Guns 2 is fun. Yeah, and it's like one of those ones like very rarely like, well, not saying that mostly sequels and big trilogies can be better, but when it comes to something like small like that where Young Guns 2 just sounds like, oh, they probably just slapped that together to get, an extra couple bucks. I mean, you even look at the cover, it kind of just looks like, on the DVD at least, you're like, yeah, it looks like one of those ones. Like, yeah, they're trying, you wonder why there wasn't a Young Guns 3. But then you go to watch, you're like, dude, this one's so much better than the first one. I mean, the first one's good, but this second one's like amazing.
The reason why there's no Young Guns 3 is because why fucking bother after Young Guns 2? That's why.
Well, that's true. But I mean, like, before you even knew that.
Before, at a first glance.
You start asking all those questions.
Because
I remember Young Guns 2 back in the day when I passed over it many times, just kind of going like, maybe I'll get it another day. And then one day I was just pawn shop. I'm like, I need more movies. Fuck, I'll get Young Guns 2. And then just turns out to be something that I should have got like way earlier. I should have got before I even got Young Guns 1.
Well, Young Guns 1, it's one of those ones because you look at it, it's always some special edition with a wooden sleeve, with a cardboard sleeve over it, with like
awesome,
3D.
A wooden sleeve.
Which is, flat out just wooden sleeve. Yeah, it's that.
Give it that authentic Western feel.
Yeah, well, it always tries, it always have some like nice cardboard sleeve over it with texture.
Like this case could give you a splinter. That's how
exactly. That's how high end it is. There's like authentic bullet holes in it. Like someone in the factory literally just took it out back, just shot a few rounds into it, then slick it over the DVD case. And it just, you open it up and be all these like character bios, all these like single stills of the actors and all that. Like, this must be fucking important. You get the movie and you watch like, oh yeah, it's a good movie. I still like Young Guns 1. I liked it. When I first saw it, I thought I was going to love it, but I was a little disappointed, but I liked it still. Young Guns 2, that's the one I'm like, well, I already got the other one. This is $2 more. Let's see what this is about. And that's
got the cheap Warner Brothers case where it has like the locking mechanism in the card. But it's always kind of like, whenever I see those cases, not saying anything against whatever movie's in it, it just kind of reminds me of the one that Warner Brothers didn't give that much of a fuck about. I guess except for Matrix. Say that back, because Matrix is one of those cases. But a lot of those movies, they're kind of like the ones like, here we go, slap the Laserdisc onto a DVD, call it a day, boom, ship it out.
Yeah, and then I get that. I'm just like, okay, I'll watch Young Guns 2. And then I'm watching, like, oh, this is actually pretty good. I'm really enjoying this. And then it goes to the part where Doc dies. Oh, fuck. Things are at stake. Because that's one of those things.
Ballsy.
When people from the first one start to die off, and it's a sequel, so they could still die. But like
Charlie Sheen.
Yeah. Like Charlie Sheen died in the first one. He was the first to go. So once, like, you get to the sequel, you're going to see, okay, well, those guys are safe. And then Lou Diamond Phillips goes, like, oh, fuck, no one's safe. And then like just has that very sad, I mean, it's still not historically accurate, but it's still a pretty goddamn good movie. So, yeah, that's a fantastic Western right there. And it's like one that people forget.
And I would say that's actually at least in my top 10 favorite Westerns. I like it that much. I think it's that good. It's up there with a Clint Eastwood movie.
I feel really bad saying this, and a lot of like hardcore film folk would disagree with me. I'm just gonna say it. I like it more than Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, or Ballad of Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid.
I agree there too.
The Sam Peckinpah one, and I know it's Sam Peckinpah. He's one of my favorite directors, and chances are, if I saw that before this one, maybe I feel different, but. And, it's Peckinpah, has that realism. Bob Dylan's in it. That's cool. He does the soundtrack for it. That's fantastic. But it's in. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'll say the same thing. It didn't capture me nearly as much. I liked it, but it would just,
I own it. I went out and bought it. I owned it. I bought it on a wing. Like, that's Sam Peckinpah. I'm buying that shit. I bought it and I enjoyed it. It's good. I'll say this though. Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, better than Young Guns 1. I'll say that.
Yeah, or at least on par, I'd say, with that one. But yeah, not Young Guns 2. Young Guns 2 is just like, it's like the hidden gem classic. You could almost do an entire episode on how great Young Guns 2 is. I'm not going to do it right now because I actually haven't watched it in like about a year and a half or 2 years, so it's not as fresh in my mind, but
I've seen
it at least about 3 or 4 times, so.
I listened to I listened to I think I turned you on to him, to Junk Food Cinema, which is a podcast where they talk about movies that kind of like slid under the radar, or kind of like they feel are they're misjudged. It stars a film critic from Austin, Brian Salisbury, and then Robert C. Cargill, who was Carlisle on Spill.com, and he's also the writer of Sinister, and has a couple of books out.
I started listening to that show. I've listened to about almost about 20 episodes of it by now.
I really like that show a lot. Every once in a while, I'll hit him on Twitter and say, like, "Are you guys going to do this one?" I never really get a respond back.
They don't reply back. I'm like, dude, I got like more followers than this guy, and he doesn't like reply back to me. Like, not Cargyle, because I'm like, he's got a lot more. But like the other dude, I'm like, really? Like, come on.
I liked all three of them. I follow the two of them individually, and then the junk food pile. Cargyle got like back to me one time, and I felt like I abused my privileges. They were talking about Kroll, and it was just one of the things. I've been listening to this guy for a long time and reading his reviews for a while, and I feel like I abused my privileges when he actually responded to me on Facebook one time, like, "Hey, are you going to be on like Spill's last podcast?" Because Spill went under, and then Corey Coleman started something else up. He says, yeah, I'm going to try to be on the last podcast. I'm pretty busy, but they're going to do a final podcast. I'm going to try and go back to that one. Like, that's awesome, you know. And later, like, they started the Junk Food Cinema, and I was probably like, they talk about Kroll. And looking back, I felt kind of embarrassed because it seemed like a reach. Like, hey, didn't you think Thor 2 took a lot from Kroll? And then, like, there's, like, no response for, like, a week. And he says, no, not really.
Like, he was really thinking of what to write back to that one. You know, he probably saw the comment early on. It's like, fuck, that guy responded to this guy, fucking Sonic hat wearing motherfucker.
And then since then, like, I'm reading your book. It's really good. By the way, do you guys think you'll do 5,000 miles to Graceland? I don't know. You just take a shot in the dark. You do that episode, and no response. Like, I guess that's a no.
Now, overall, I like that one a lot. Every once in a while, they'll get kind of like a little... I mean, they're critics, so they're going to have that, like, gene in them that makes them want to, like, get on a hate train and start, like, bashing a movie. Like, the one that I just, like, was weird is, like, they got in such a big hate train bashing Punisher 2, which is strange because I've never really heard anybody talk bad about the second Punisher.
Jane?
That one. Because mostly everybody seems to really like that movie, I noticed. I mean, at least action fans and so on, the people who would like it. I never ever heard that kind of hatred towards it because mostly it was like, that was the people would go like, oh, that was a good one. Nobody ever saw Warzone, and then very few people seen the Dolph Lundgren one, but they were like, oh, the Dolph Lundgren one's great compared to like the fucking second one, the shitty-ass fucking Punisher movie that tries to have feelings and emotion. I'm like, I like the second one. I mean, Warzone's my favorite, don't get me wrong, but what's wrong with the second one? And then they kind of made it out like the Punisher was like kind of like a shitty character. They're like, he's just like a guy from the 80s who just kills because he hates things. And it's like, yeah, well, does everything have to be complicated? Like, yeah, he had a shitty experience. His fucking family got killed in front of him. He survived it, so he decided that that's not going to happen to anybody else now.
What was I going to say? That right there was I was going back for a second ago. I'm not sure if I said in the podcast just a second ago if I said, like, did you think Kroll took from Tron 2? I meant to say Thor 2. I don't know if I said Tron 2.
No, you said Thor 2.
I just, like, for a second just clicked in my head. Did I say fucking Tron? That's going to cause a lot of fucking confusion. All right, no.
No wonder it took him a fucking week to email you.
He went back and watched it like 3 or 4 more times.
Like, I just don't get it. What does he see
Why
that
the
I
fuck
don't
does he
see?
see it? Does Jeff Bridges have a cameo in here that I did not notice? Where the fuck is it? You know? No, but no, I think that because they mentioned something about like Punisher just being a character of the 80s, and I kind of see what they mean, but I think that's one of those things. He'd primarily be a good secondary character or a good, like, you know, show, like, kind of. I kind of see what they mean. Like, he'd probably be better off as having his own show, which they are doing a Netflix Punisher now, so that's going to be good.
Well, I feel like...
And he's gonna start off in Daredevil, which I think is a good way to do it.
Yeah, that's a smart thing to do. I mean, like, I'm one of those kind of people, like, I think... why can't you have Punisher just keep having more and more adventures where he's just killing people brutally and stuff like that? It's like, there's nothing wrong with that, you know?
I think it's one of those things, like, if you love... it's kind of like... Here's a good way of going. This is the way that they did it in Warzone. He's basically a superhero for, like, horror film fans, I think, because he is the slasher and the villains are the victims. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess if you want to just do it as simple, like kind of, like a slasher formula where it's kind of like, okay, we know what's going to happen. We know everyone's going to die, but it's the Punisher. How badass does he kill him? How cool does he make it look? I think it's, if you do it that way, that's how you sell the Punisher, really. I don't know if they're going to do that on Netflix because it's still being a show ran by Disney to an extent, which seems kind of weird. Because I watched Daredevil, and Daredevil was really good. Don't get me wrong, but while watching it, like just a little before I started watching Daredevil, I finally got Avengers on DVD on Blu-ray, and I'm sitting there watching it. I'm enjoying it, and they're making references to the I almost said the calamari, to the what are they called?
They call it the incident in Daredevil.
They call it the incident, but no, the aliens. I forgot what the aliens are calling. They want to call them the calamari for a minute, but they weren't giant space squids. No, I don't remember what they're called, but they're the Chintari. The Chintari. It's like watching that and then watching Daredevil, seeing a dude get decapitated with the car door, and thinking, this is not the same world that Captain America wore that suit in Avengers. Thinking about it, you think about that suit he wears in Avengers, like, this is in the same fucking world?
Well, it'd be sweet if they finally do the thing where they throw Daredevil into, like, the Avengers at some point. Like, even if it's, like, a 5-minute fucking Chuck Norris and Expendables 2 scene or something like that.
I bet they will at some point. I bet he will probably be... He may not be a starring member or anything, but it wouldn't surprise me once they get to like the final, like, stage 5 or stage 4, whatever it's going to be.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if they get him there, because I can see, I don't know if this whole Marvel thing, if they're just going to keep on going and just rotate, like once someone gets old, we just get someone new to replace them, or if they're going to go to the level of like, okay, we're going to reboot it and we're going to try something different and edgy, and just pick from different, more recent stories or stories they haven't used yet, I
know this sort of goes against the Marvel way of storytelling, but I wish they would just do it sort of like how they used to do the DCU movies, where they just kind of do a story and it doesn't have any connection to anything else. It's just, this is just a standalone story. I mean, it's still Batman or something like that, but it's not like you have to have it connected to the, the Superman movie and to the Aquaman movie and to the Green Lantern movie. Like, the interconnected thing, I know some people think that's the greatest thing in the entire world. To me, it's okay. I mean, like, it's cool, but I don't care. If Daredevil doesn't have to ever see any of the Avengers, I don't care. If Spider-Man, like, to me, like, everybody's like, oh, Spider-Man's gonna be in the Avengers. I'm like, I could give a flying fuck about that. I'm not gonna say it's not cool, but it's not necessary to me, because Spider-Man has so much shit he can do by himself. I don't need to have him in the Avengers. Same with, like, the other characters. It's just, there's so much story out there to be told. They don't always have to be interconnected. I mean, it's cool, to have that once in a while, but to focus everything around that. I know DC is kind of going that route now because all the Marvel fans have kind of like been throwing that at DC to make all their stuff interconnected, which I never thought was totally necessary.
Well, I think the things regarding Marvel, like the whole interconnected thing, I think what's cool about that is, I guess it's just weird because we never would have seen that before. We never would have expected to see it. Just a faint mention or a little nod to something, like when, like, Batman said something to the effect of, like, in Batman and Robin, this is why Superman works alone. Like, like he fucking acknowledged them. Or is it one of those things like, in that world, is Superman, like, is that a TV show? Or is that just a comic book in their world? You know what I mean? It's one of those little things you're not really sure of. Or it's kind of like in, what's another example? Like, it's actually still Batman. Like in Batman Forever, they're going like, oh yeah, the Flying Graysons. They've been all over from New York to Chicago to Metropolis. Like, that's fucking Metropolis, Yeah. So you kind of, they give you those little nods like that. But then when I think when we first actually saw it's going to happen, when we first saw that, like, there is a hint of possibility, like at the end of Iron Man, before we knew it was going to happen, they said, we're going to start up Project Avengers. Like, no, they're not doing that. They're not doing that. It's gonna be a cheap version. They're gonna do something else. When we saw how big it was and them all on screen at the same time. I think it's just now. I mean, at the moment, it seemed really huge and still is pretty cool. I'm still very fucking, because years ago, probably someone in the 80s, this probably wouldn't have seemed so possible. Fuck, it didn't even seem all that possible in the 90s. Mm-hmm. But now that it's actually happening, I just think maybe they're playing a little too much into it. I still like it. I still think it's awesome. I just think I think like what you said, not everything has to be interconnected.
Yeah, because I remember when the first Iron Man movie came out, I was one of those people who's like, dude, why the fuck they just make an Avenger movie? Like, who the fuck wants to just see Iron Man by himself? It's like
Iron Man fans.
Yeah, yeah. Somebody comes up like, yeah, I do. I'm an Iron Man fan, and I want to see Iron Man by himself. I'm like, I don't know. I was doing
all 12 of them before the movie came out.
Yeah, but it was just kind of one of those ones. I remember that. It's like, why don't they just fucking just do the Avengers. Just like, who cares? It's like, you don't need to have these origin stories. Cause I'm just never been a big fan of origin stories that are like long and drawn out. Not saying that you can't have a cool origin story, but even when the movies first started coming out, I guess in like, you could say the second wave of comic book movies, technically maybe the third. Because you probably say the first wave of comic book movies, even though it's not very many, it's like Superman 70s. The second wave, starting with Batman 1989, even though that might still be part of the same wave that's just longer. And then I'd say that third wave would have been started with X-Men. Yeah, Spider-Man X-Men. That would have been the start of that.
Blade. And I'm going to say the fourth wave is like
Blade, I almost feel like he's like the crossing point between like the second kind of session of after Batman and then, you know, X-Men, because Blade was one of those ones. It was like a hidden comic book movie at the time. You know, when the X-Men came out, that was one of those ones like people knew that was a comic book. It was kind of like a big property, and that kind of brought really full board with, you know, the X-Men's the start of it all in a sense.
Mm-hmm. And then there is also I'm going to say the fourth wave probably being, just because it's so different now. The fourth wave is probably
the Iron
Man, Batman Begins. You know.
Yeah, I would still say Batman Begins is in the third wave, because that's part of that.
That's like the end. I think that's where it just suddenly said we could take this shit serious, and that's where we kind of started the more darker, grittier superhero movies that weren't Punisher, you know?
Yeah, but in a sense, like the only reason I say it's kind of more of a like where there was a time period for about a couple years where other than Blade, there wasn't really a whole lot of comic book movies from about like 97 to 2000.
Yeah.
But other than that, as I said, it's like, yeah, it's one of those ones like. And the thing about Spider-Man and the Avengers, it's like, yeah, I know in the comic books, at some point, everybody's been the Avengers for a little bit, because the comic ran for 50 years, so of course that's going to happen, but I just think it's one of those ones, like, Spider-Man has so many stories that could be told by himself in his own little world, and he's got so many, like, supporting characters and stuff, it's like, you know, maybe throw Daredevil in with it, like, that's cool, like, characters that are kind of similar to him, throw the Punisher in with Spider-Man as an intro kind of thing, maybe they just cross paths, not like a full-on Spider-Man Punisher movie, but even like just...
Because he's going to be young Spider-Man, this 15-year-old kid, like, oh, golly, Mister, just punches him the fuck out. Where's your Spider-Man?
Just starts off fucking, like, Spider-Man's like, I got to track down this guy named the Punisher who's killing people. And then it just cuts to a scene where Punisher's got Spider-Man's head, like, in a toilet, like, who the fuck are you? What are you
nerd? Fucking Deadpool walks in like, hey, Frank, what are you doing? Beating the fuck out of some nerd. Oh, let me join in. You know?
Awesome. Yeah, he's like, then he just grabs Deadpool. He puts like his head in a toilet too. He's just like, I've got both you fucking dressed up nerds.
Punisher, the movie, rated PG-13.
You know, it's like at least like, you know, the one that I always feel that never really needs to be connected together. I know some people have mixed feelings about this, and I just don't think X-Men ever needs to be connected to the rest of the Marvel Universe. And my reason behind it is once you throw in the mutant equation, it changes a whole lot of everything else around. And there's so many characters in the X-Men to top it off that, like, it doesn't need a Captain America or a Spider-Man, an Iron Man, a Daredevil. None of those guys really need to exist. I mean, it's cool every once in a while if they did have, like, a crossover. Don't get me wrong. I like the Spider-Man crossover episode in the 92 show. I thought that was neat. But in general, it's one of those ones, there's so much X-Men by themselves that that should just be its separate own pocket universe.
I don't know. Don't you want to see Beast bitch slap Iron Man at least once?
I would love to see Beast bitch slap Iron Man, because that's something I never thought about till you mentioned that. Just the smartest guy in the entire X-Men who never loses his cool whatsoever, but if he's going to bitch slap Iron Man, that would be worth it.
That's the finally, not Warner Brothers, fucking Fox and Disney sit down, iron out this perfect deal, and then just like the executive producer at Fox just puts us both hands on the table, like, look, we have a proposition. You guys get 80% of the revenue, this, that, whatever, okay? You could even have full control of the characters, but one scene has to happen. Clancy Brown, in full Beast gear, gets to walk in. When Robert Downey Jr. goes up to shake his hand,
he's wearing the Iron Man suit. One if it's in the future?
Kelsey Grammer, yeah. This is Kelsey Grammer, walks right up to him. Doesn't even give him a handshake. Just bitch slaps the helmet right off him, then bitch slaps him again, walks out the room. That's how we open it. There, we can do whatever we want.
That right there would sell it to me. But in all honesty, though, the only reason I say that the X-Men one there is just the second that if you combine them with the Avengers and so on, you're going to water down all the X-Men roster. And now a lot of these characters aren't going to see the light of day anymore because we're going to be focusing on just like Wolverine and Cyclops and Magneto and just the main ones. And you'll probably stop seeing some of the hidden characters. Now, obviously, if it's just one crossover movie, that'll be fine. And in the long run, if we get to this point where there's just a copious amount of movies that it doesn't even make a difference. Because for a long time, when it was like, you know, you're lucky to get a certain movie every couple of years, so you didn't want that to be ruined at all. That's why it used to bother me back in the day when they had the old style where it's just like, you got one hero and one villain, and it won't be for another 4 years till you get to see that next villain.
Mm-hmm. Now it's like we get 1 to 2 Marvel movies a year at least. But
and almost like now it'll be like, I feel like it'll be almost about 2 DC movies a year too by next year.
Yeah, and we'll get to that in a second. But I will say I'm kind of wondering once they get to Infinity War, because apparently Infinity War is where they bring in everything, or everything they have the rights to at least. I'm wondering how the fuck are they going to fit in like the Guardians of the Galaxy? Somebody's going to have to just be like there for 5 minutes in the background and wave. And maybe you see like Star-Lord shoot a bad guy off screen and get into a quick fight with somebody. Then we move on. And you know what I mean? Because there's going to be so many characters in Infinity War. I'm wondering how are you going to get all that screen time? So I'm guessing they're probably going to have to either kill people off or rotate them in, or like, okay, we're going to focus on these guys over here, then we're going to focus on those guys over there. Or some people are just going to have to take a seat for a minute and not be there. So, because that's going to be, we're going to have, by that point, take all the Avengers, take all the current Avengers, take the Guardians of the Galaxy. We got another Guardians of the Galaxy movie coming out, which more members of the team will be introduced in that. We also got Spider-Man coming in. We got Ant-Man coming in. We got the
Wasp.
We got Wasp. We got the Inhumans. So it's like
and then let's say if they have Daredevil or any of the Defenders.
Yeah. So we might have Luke. We might have Luke Cage right there. We might have So it's one of those things like
might have the Punisher. Might have. I mean, who knows? It's open-ended.
I mean, granted, you might need that many people to take on Thanos, but. It's
just have the Punisher just walk up with just some like space gun, just start shooting him in the head until he like just explodes all out. There, fucking did it, you fucking pussies! Yeah. Get me back home now.
It's just like a 5-minute movie. That's all it is. That's what Infinity War Part 2 is. That's just like Kevin Feige just walks out, just drops the microphone, credits.
He just looks over at Beast and goes, "Bitch, slap that Iron Man guy again. I fucking hate him."
Yeah. I don't care. Cross over to a different studio to do it. I don't give a fuck what you do.
He just walks off screen, just fucking is like in a studio, goes over and just shoots a couple executives, then drags fucking Beast from like a studio next door over. Like, he's breaking the fourth wall. He's breaking the fourth wall.
Like, this is the last Marvel movie. We don't give a fuck. We already got your money.
He looks over at the screen, made out of fucking just takes his hand and just starts ripping it out and starts coming out of the movie theater like, oh god, it's like Last Action Hero.
Just we don't give a fuck anymore. We already living in mansions out of cocaine by the time Avengers 1 came out.
Like the Punisher, the guy with no superpowers somehow, some way. I guess he did have superpowers. It's breaking the fourth wall is what it is.
He beat Deadpool at his own game. Which Deadpool? Did you see any of the leaked footage for Deadpool?
I never did. I heard there was some.
It was pretty good. It's kind of like starts off with kind of like a brief little origin. Ryan Reynolds is like, "Oh, I'm going into this intense like treatment because I got cancer everywhere," and I watched it all off some dude's like cell phone. Like those videos get taken down pretty quickly, and it was pretty poor quality. But I can see enough of what was going on, and I could, I'm sure. Like I saw Ryan Reynolds said on Twitter or something there'll be a new version of it up like in 3 weeks or so. But basically, it looks pretty funny. Looks pretty awesome. A lot of violence, a lot of swearing. At some point, like he gets like shot in the arm. He's looking through a hole. He says, "Oh, that motherfucker!" And goes and just.
Now, is that a Marvel movie or is that a Fox movie?
That's a Fox movie. It's a Fox.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was like that. I'm like, that's still got to be a Fox movie, right? Because it's Daredevil being an X-Men character, and 2 being once again it's Ryan Reynolds playing it still.
Yeah, there's a part where you saw him fighting Colossus.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, and then there's somebody else. I don't really know my X-Men that well. I read Deadpool, but X-Men I don't really know that much.
I don't know my X-Men that well. I read Daredevil.
They're both D's. I get confused. They both start with D. And there should
And
not be
they're
more than one hero
red,
starting with D.
they got a mask on, and they
They're
both
both
look like they're
red.
blind.
They both red. They both come with the Marvel. No. There was wonder if we have like some mentally challenged listeners like, you motherfucker, that's not funny. No, but anyway, um, there was he was fighting Colossus. I don't know my X-Men characters that well. There's some other lady. She was like, I want to say she was. It was fuzzy and it was on camera. It was on the camera phone. She was bald and she had a hood. Like, what's your name? She's like, I am Super Omega something baby whatever. She says, oh my god, that is the coolest fucking name. You know, they're playing.
I think it's one of those like Mojo characters. If I want to. I'm thinking that's what it might be.
I think it was Colossus. It looked like a big silver person. I want to say it was Colossus. Could have been someone else. And you saw most of the video he was fighting like what looked like hired thugs and all that. But there was some like sci-fi stuff in there for a minute. And the song they're playing throughout. I mean, I think it's kind of a silly song, but it actually worked for the trailer. It's like, X gonna give it to you. He gonna give it to you. X gonna give it to you. You know that song? What you gonna rock? Never gonna rock. You know that DMX song. It's a really silly song, but it worked for the trailer.
That just reminds me of something that you would have heard like in Cradle to the Grave. But
that was the song they used to sell that movie.
Oh, was it really? Okay, never mind.
That was in the trailer. Then there's a part where the whole cage. There's the whole cage match and like Jet Li's taking on like everybody in this building at once in the cage match, and then
the UFC guys.
DMX is then like being chased on a quad through a city by a BMXer. He's like, that guy stole my quad, you know?
It's strange enough. I like that more and more, like, the farther down, like, the timeline we go, because it really takes me back to that, like, early 2000s part. And sometimes you don't think much of it at the time, but once it gets older, you're like, that was a pretty fun time with some really stupid stuff, but fun.
Well, that movie is a time capsule. It really is a time capsule.
It represents, like, you know, if you had explained to somebody the early 2000s, you would just pop that movie in and be like, this is what it is. And I think it's actually, like, got a lot of great action scenes in it, but just, like, it has that just extreme sportsness, you know, with the rap music in the background, the martial arts. It just defines, like, what a 13-year-old kid was like at that time and what they wanted. That and The One. The One also really explains it a lot, too.
Romeo Must Die, I thought did a good job of it. That's the same director as Cradle to the Grave. I thought that one actually had a good balance. It's been some time since I watched that one, but
that's a good one too.
The one is that sticks out. I will never forget The One. And there was a part where I will say regarding Cradle to the Grave, the thing that lost me, of all things that lost me, I got to watch it again. Granted, I haven't seen it since I was like in high school, and this is where you could see one dumb thing, like that is stupid, and I haven't seen it since, so I got to get another shot, but. There's the part where they're selling these diamonds that are actually not diamonds. They're some kind of like plutonium or some kind of special like magic crystals that make the world go boom. Yeah. So, and they're like scanning them and they're about to sell them off to some like, you know, military organizations. He says like, they're just saying the different like levels of how potent they are. One point the guy's like, Hiroshima. They reach the point, New World Order. It's just like, why the fuck are you selling these things then?
Yeah, exactly.
Why the fuck are you selling these things?
You know, I'll say this. I actually like Cradle to the Grave more than I like Romeo Must Die. It's not my... I'm not saying it's like my favorite Jet Li movie, because it's probably my favorite, or at least one of my favorite ones. Get those headphones back on.
Okay, I'm back.
No, I actually think the action in it, I like Cradle to the Grave a little bit more than Romeo Must Die.
I seriously did not intend to, like, I meant to just walk away, like, comically, just like, we're not friends anymore. I can take a lot of things. I can't take that. Then as I walked away, I tripped on the cord, flung my microphone across the room. So I don't know how bad that's going to sound when it comes out.
It's like
but,
blump, blump, blump.
Yeah.
But,
I don't know if we'll be friends, but we'll ride this out. We'll see where it goes, okay?
Do you still have Cradle to the Grave in your DVD collection?
I never had Cradle to the Grave.
Oh, you never did?
No.
Oh, well, you're missing out. It's got one of those cheap Warner Brothers covers where it's got the folding
What else would it have?
Well, I think it's a New Line Cinema one, but that's still Warner Brothers in the cinema.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine it being anything other than that. That seems like a total kind of like $5 bin. Another one that had one of those covers was like Spawn, the director's cut, you know.
Speaking of Spawn, look what I got for $1.
Oh, you got a Spawn versus Batman.
Yes, but it's Written by Frank Miller and drawn by Todd McFarlane. And I got it for $1 at the dollar store.
You know, that seems like a clash of two like massive like titans, but you know, to them it's just like, what are you doing? Not a whole fucking lot. You want to like, I'll draw some shit. You'll write some shit. Yeah, okay.
Well, it's from like 93, I want to say.
Yeah, that's definitely the case then.
Yeah. Well, 93 was the time period where they used to do a lot of like, mismatch and like
Judge Dredd meets Batman.
Yeah, and it's always Batman's like, you fucking pussy. I'm Batman. I'm so smart. Blah, 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 blah. You are a fucking idiot. And this one, he's always talking to this guy. Like, I'm not too sure if he knows he's black, but he's always like, boy, you get over here so I can whoop your ass.
He always calls him boy.
Yeah, he's always calling him boy. And he's always...
Then when he takes off the mask, he's like, oh, I didn't mean it that way. I'm sorry. Batman not racist. I'm just, oh, this is awkward. You see, I got the other ones. I always call them boy. And, apparently, you get it, right? You get it, right?
I'm used to it. I always yelling at a boy. I was like, boy, which is, Robin. But I like boy more.
One of the Robins, I'm not keeping up. So doing the whole convergence thing now. And I'm just going to, I'll wait and I'll get a graphic novel when that's all done.
Because convergence just sounds like complicated in my book.
Well, I guess what they're doing now, they're sort of doing another 52 kind of thing, I guess. Mm-hmm. And they're making all these nods and fusing like these different plot lines and these weird mix match things, like Power Girl teaming up with Harley Quinn, going across doing these space adventure type stuff, different things going on.
That really just sounds like, hey, you know what's popular right now? Guardians of the Galaxy.
Kind of, now that you mention it, yeah.
Let's just slap a couple characters together, put some space adventure. Well, we have a guy called Green Lantern. He's kind of similar to Guardians of the Galaxy. Fuck that. We need something new.
I have no idea. Like, I'll look at some of these covers. It just looks crazy and all over the place. I don't really know what's going on. I'll figure it out later. So 52 is about to end. They're about to start up this new like thing where I guess they're not acknowledging all the timeline. I don't know. The more I think about it, the more it hurts my head. So I'll figure it out later. But we're not going to solve it right now, that's for sure. And one of the things they had was... where was I going with this?
See, all I know is by the time Convergence came out, it ended all the series that I liked reading. It's because now there's not like a regular Batman anymore. And now there's you have to go to Batman Eternal to keep going Batman. And then there's not a Nightwing anymore, so now you got to go to Grayson. So it's like, oh, okay.
I think they're finishing up those stories because right now, apparently, Commissioner Gordon is Batman. I haven't read it, but he's like in a Batman robot suit. Which, it's Snyder, so I'm curious. It's Greg Capullo still drawn, so still has my interest. So I think then that when that happens, that's probably when the convergence thing kicks in. So I don't know. We'll figure it out, I guess. But where's I going with this? Something regarding shit. Okay, there's convergence. What were we talking about a second ago before convergence?
We were talking about Spawn Batman, which apparently that Spawn Batman's supposed to be part of the Dark Knight Returns timeline.
Really?
It says at the very beginning of it. It goes, this is not part of like regular Batman. This is part of the Dark Knight Returns timeline.
Okay, I can see that, before. Maybe that's what made him so gritty. He's just like, I gotta be grittier, gotta be darker, like this guy. Oh, no, I remember what I was gonna say now. You were saying the whole thing with, like, you can't call him boy. I saw there's a Robin book, and I saw, like, I think Robin's a black kid now. So, no way Batman could say, hey, boy! No way he can fucking say that anymore. With Robin's just, hey, Robin, come on.
Lad.
Yeah. Old chum. I haven't used that one in a while. Okay.
Well, like Spawn Batman, it's just like, like Frank Miller, it's almost like, sometimes the way Batman kind of comes across, like, it's almost like he did that thing where he's like, people really like Batman and Dark Knight Returns. I just got to up the ante on him now. So now we're going to make him seem like he's like just this old, like, maybe not racist, but just like this guy who just hates everything. And that's kind of how it is. He's just like the whole time. It's almost like Batman loses common sense sometimes. He's just like, I'm going to fucking kill you. I don't care if I die doing it. And Spawn's like, yo, fucking chill. When I'm the guy who's got fucking common sense and knows what's going on, and you're the guy who's fucking out of control and looks like a maniac, something's wrong.
I sold my soul to Satan to get powers, and I'm still saying you're a little off. You're still a little weirder than me, dude.
Yeah.
No, there was one part where, I think that's where All-Star Batman and Robin kind of like pissed a lot of people off because he was Dark Knight Returns compared to way how he writes Batman now, Dark Knight Returns seems fairly tame compared to how Frank Miller wrote him later down the line. Because in that one, he's an old man and he's very seasoned, and he'll just be kind of this grouchy old fuck who can still kick your ass.
Mm-hmm.
But he's still pretty knowledgeable when it comes to all the Batman type shit.
But he's not crazy and out there.
Where in Batman Year One, he was very much where I thought Batman would be in his first year.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get to All-Star Batman and Robin the Boy Wonder, and he's just like, are you dense? Are you retarded? I'm the goddamn Batman. I'm going to set these cops on fire. Fuck you. They ain't dead, but they got 4-degree burns. Fuck them. You know, driving off. Like, who's this Black Canary chick? I don't know. I'm going to fuck her right here in the dog. That's why I'm Batman. That's the fuck I do. Fuck y'all. You know, that's kind of the way how he wrote Batman. And I think that's what pissed a lot of people off. Like, this boy's mouthing off again. Fuck you. He literally would sock him a few times. Keep kidnapping this boy. This boy's part of my team now. Fuck y'all.
Yeah, they just make him so boy. When he was younger, this guy was very calm and collect when he was in year one. When he was older, he was still pretty reserved but serious. And now, in his fucking middle-aged time period, God,
well, it's
he's a loose cannon.
Because I want to say they discontinued. Year one is still part of the continuity. But I want to say they removed All-Star Batman and Robin from it, but it's starting at year one still, which this almost sounds like a Terminator timeline thing, you know?
Yeah.
But they're still continuing it from there. And even in there's still some parts where Batman was full on driving a car. His car turned into a jet, flew through through a bunch of cops, set a bunch of explosions. He's out laughing this is pretty fucking fun, ain't it, kid? I don't know.
Beer, drink a beer. It makes the experience much better.
What do you think of this jet? What do you call it? I call it the Batmobile. That's pretty fucking awesome, right? Oh, it's kind of queer. Fuck you.
I fucking hate queers. Just starts beating him up in the jet. Batman, grab the fucking steering wheel. Grab the steering wheel. What? He's just punching him in the face. The jet's just in one hand. Oh, watch this shit. Sees a homeless person push him a shopping cart, knocks his shopping cart. Fuck you! Just goes by. It's his new catchphrase. Anything he hits in the Batmobile just screams "fuck you" and keeps driving. No, I that's actually there was one thing in that book that kept on everything that Dick Grayson wasn't impressed with. He just say that is queer, which that's one of those things that was definitely a thing of the time. I noticed maybe it was supposed to take place in the 80s, but I don't even know anybody that says the word that's queer that. That book,
you know,
that book came out in 2005, so it was way past that time period when you could have done. If that book was maybe in the 90s, that would have been excusable. Because I always think of in the Wrong Turn movie, which I think is 98 or 99, might even be 2000, somewhere right there. Because one of the girls, she uses the term she's oh, that's fucking gay. And you just don't hear that anymore. That line is never used in a movie. But that right there, when that movie came out, it's oh, late 90s? That's totally a phrase.
It's when you're watching, was it 16 Candles, and she says to what's the redheaded kid?
Anthony Michael Hall.
Guy, when she says to Anthony Michael Hall, are you a faggot? You're that's one of those things you're in this day and age, you're taken back from that for a second. But you're because now if you heard that in a movie, that'd be oh, the only people that say that are the bad guys, or if they're associated with organized crime, that's the only way they get away with those kind of words. But now it's one of those things where, but then though, it's just kind of oh yeah, that's the main character. They just said we talk that way. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, it's just whatever. Who cares?
Yeah. That's one of those things about that book, though. That I still enjoy that book, but I almost, if he was just kind of just amped it up the fuck, just Batman just continue, because there's even the part where they invite Green Lantern over, hey Green Lantern, come over to my place, we'll make a deal. Everything's all painted yellow. Fuck you! Want some lemonade? You know?
He's just starts pissing on his face, no.
Said Robin, attack him, and he attacks him, punches him in the throat. He's oh, you almost killed him. Fuck you, kid. Punches him jams a straw in his trachea so he can keep on breathing.
Yeah. Well, it's also I was thinking of the Dark Knight Returns. They got that one line that black guy said. He's oh, it's great he's cleaning up all this crime, but what's he gonna do about the homosexuals next?
Oh yeah, I remember that part. They take that out of the. I think
it's not in the movie.
It's not in the movie, but it's in the book, right?
Yeah, it's in the book.
Yeah, that's right. He says oh, he's taking out the crime, so he goes for the homos next. So it's something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which that was for the time, and I think he's making a statement against that. Like, I don't think that Frank Miller. I think Frank Miller is almost kind of like. I almost think he's kind of like Batman, like the way how he wrote him. You know what I mean? Like I think he's almost kind of like he's like not racist, he's not sexist, but he's set or like or he's homophobic. I don't think that, but I think he'll say some stupid shit like just kind of like, oh, that's gay. Oh, you hate gay people? No, I'm just saying it's fucking gay. That's all I'm saying. You get what I mean, though, right? He's kind of like that.
And it's one of those ones like people always kind of forget that it's like when it comes to like
generation thing.
It's like a generational thing, and it's sort of like I hope they never get to a point where they erase that line of The Dark Knight Returns, because I'm not saying it's like that line like is like a good thing, but it's one of those ones like once something's put down, it's like that really pisses me off when they go back and try to erase it like it never existed. Because when you do things like that,
time capsule.
Yeah, it's like, who else did things where they try to erase history? Fucking Nazis. And that's what I mean. It's like you don't want to do that. Like the one thing that's really okay, it's like
no, Warner Brothers.
This is like early time we go political every once in a while. But you know what really bothered me? Okay, they're talking about like getting rid of all the Confederate flags in like the South and whatnot, which is hilarious because
I know
here in Tuolumne County, there's like there seems like there's a boom of Confederate flags now, and it's in California. But okay, it's one of those ones like, okay, I get it. I mean, like I'm one of those people like I've been kind of like making fun of like Confederate stuff and redneck stuff, like dirt, 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 my entire life since I was a little kid, and always laughing at the guy who would drive by with the big Confederate flag on the back of his truck. But the second that they go like, oh, well, now we can't sell any Dukes of Hazzard merchandise anymore, anything Dukes of Hazzard related. That was where it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. You've taken that so far. If anything, the Dukes of Hazzard was that thing that it was bringing back the Confederate flag, but not as a thing of racism, as a thing of like, it was like the rebel spirit. And once again, this comes from somebody who made fun of the Confederate flag his entire life, and now I'm here fucking defending it just for the fact that like,
just for the Dukes of Hazzard.
For the Dukes of Hazzard. Well, just once like that's what it's a sign of. You know what I mean? It's like it has nothing to do. I mean, I know the car is called the General Lee and everything like that, but like it doesn't have anything to do with like racism. Because once again, the Civil War had nothing to do with racism. It was two different types of government. Obviously, one supported that, but that wasn't like the main reason for the war. It was because somebody wanted a different type of government. And that's what fucking bothers me. So when they start doing that thing, like, I don't know, I always consider that's like it's totally like the pussy move to like back out and go like, well, we're not going to support the Dukes of Hazzard anymore because they drove around in a car in the South. And it's not like they were driving around fucking at night, like dressed up like the Ku Klux Klan, like, there's a blackie, get him, and then like peeling around in that Dodge Charger. It's like, wee!
That's
drinking moonshine.
That's a lost episode.
It's like, there's technically nothing.
Oh, there's one.
Yeah, it's not like they're doing that. You know what I mean? If that was the case, that show probably never have come out in the 70s, anyways.
There's a lost episode. The Dukes go to Compton.
Yeah, it's like drinking moon.
They make one wrong turn.
But it's like I like how even the Dukes like. Does that mean like they can't even sell like the Sean William Scott movie anymore and like the Johnny Knoxville one, because that's
even the movie made a nod about that, because when they get the thing remodeled, because the beginning of the movie doesn't have the flag on it.
And I remember when I first saw that, I was like, no, are they not going to go ballsy enough to put the Confederate flag on there? Just like that's sort of like for the Dukes of Hazzard, it's that symbol of freedom right there. And then at least they throw it on there once the vehicle gets all fixed up. And when they drive to Atlanta,
everyone's getting all pissed off. Like they look up at, oh shit, we're gonna make all kinds of friends here.
Yeah, and I think that's fine. That's a fine nod to it, but they don't take it off. They still leave it there. But now it's just that thing. It's just one of those ones. It just bothers me so much. It's just one of those things. And now it's like you can't even buy merchandise. So my fucking Dukes of Hazzard, like General Lee car over there, is now a collectible item due to the fact that they can't sell those anymore. I just think that's wrong right there. And by doing that, that makes people stupid and ignorant. It's one of those things. It's like that doesn't fix things by like just saying like, oh, because the thing was bad 150 years ago. It's just like, and yes, we all know that sometimes the kind of people that wave those flags around and put them up in the back of their cars. But when it really comes down to it, the flag has nothing to do with racism. It has something to do with a different type of government. You know who else was a Confederate? You know who else was?
Go ahead. Yeah, you're asking me. I thought you were going to just thought that was a rhetorical question. Go ahead. Yeah, who else was a Confederate?
Count Dooku. He was a Confederate. That's what his whole thing is he's Confederacy in Star Wars. So he can fucking wave a Confederate. Well, he wouldn't be waving a Confederate flag because he's in space, but that's the type of government he is.
The space flag.
Yes. Space Confederate. God damn it.
So
by that notion, do we have to get rid of fucking characters. Count Dooku died, so maybe it had something to do with it. I'm not too sure, but maybe that was all part of it. They're like, we got to exterminate the leader of the Confederates. Well, he died in the movie. Not good enough.
That's a start. I guess now looking at it, he did look. Maybe they were trying to make him look like General Lee. Now I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, well, because it's like that's what his type of government is a confederacy. Because that's in Star Wars, everything's like it's different types of governments. You know, you got an empire, you got a republic, you got a confederacy, and so on.
Yeah. Well, the thing regarding that is, here, I don't want to sound like I'm not looking to step on any toes. I just got to look more into it myself. I totally see what you're saying. It's more one of those things like, whenever I kind of see somebody rolling by with the Confederate flag, I'm like, what a fucking dumbass. And I know the show had a different spirit about that. It wasn't trying to be that. And it's from a different time. So it's not approaching it as kind of like, yeehaw, slavery. It's not, I know they're not approaching it from that aspect.
Hell, Willie Nelson was in the movie. And if Willie Nelson can stand by it, what somebody got something against Willie Nelson now?
Yeah. So, but no, I'm going to say, look, I'm just going off. I was never really, I know enough about Dukes of Hazzard, but I was never really that big a fan. So it's just one of those things that's kind of hard for me to form an entire opinion, especially as a white American straight male. There is no real like hardship I've ever really had. So I can't really be like, yo, here they come trying to step on my rights. I'm not going to try and be that guy. It's more of just, part of me look, here's the thing. I am all for taking down Confederate flag from high schools and all that kind of stuff. And I totally get that. Now this is a piece. Granted, I don't know how much Dukes of Hazzard shit they're still making out of merchandising. I don't know how many people are flooding out to buy Dukes of Hazzard stuff. Probably now a lot more since they're. Actually, you know what would surprise me? If they actually saying they're going to pull it and they're going to re-release a bunch of it so people start grabbing it again. Possibly.
Yeah, because sometimes companies use that as like a way to like boost their sales. You know, it's like, hey, this is a perfect time to sell a bunch of Dukes of Hazzard stuff.
Exactly. So, but I know the show. I've only seen like a few episodes, and I've seen the movie. I know it's something that they're not trying to. I know they weren't trying to be all like piss people off. But just like that was a sign of being a rebel back then. That's really what it was. A sign about being a rebel. So that's probably what they're trying to go with. But I know that's kind of an outdated thing now. The particular the flag. So now going back and literally trying to erase it from history. I mean, it's there. If you want it, I guess you can buy it. But from that, though, to take away the option, I guess seems kind of dumb. But at the same time, I got to look more into it. Before, when I was younger, I'd be like, I'd probably just jump in like, I don't agree with this, fuck it. But now I'm literally at this age where I actually do got to kind of analyze it because I've had certain things happen. Because for a long time, I was one of those people like, well, he's white in the comic book, so he should be white in the movie. I don't give a fuck. And now I'm looking back, I'm like, times change, you get older, you look into it like, well, looking at it from this way, from that way, this doesn't matter so much. I mean, certain characters, it's kind of, certain characters, yeah, but like, now I'm actually really looking forward to seeing like Deadpool is like played by Will Smith. Before, maybe when I was like in Deadshot, yeah.
Fuck Deadpool. No way is he gonna be played.
No, but he dresses in red. He starts with D. I get confused. No, no, Deadshot. Now I'm looking forward to it because he's a really good actor, and I'm kind of curious to see what he brings to it, and that's something I never really thought of before. I'm actually kind of looking forward. He's not announced yet. I'm not one of those people because for a little while there's this whole like thing. We're getting kind of political today. Fuck. This is where I'm like, fuck, getting political. Anyway, before they were talking for a little while like Spider-Man. He has to be black. He has to be black. Why are they making Spider-Man black? I think it's kind of dumb to the Miles Morales is a fairly recent character, and I have no problem with them bringing Miles Morales in, but I don't really see, because people were really mad once they announced it's another white guy.
Yeah.
And the thing about that is I'm totally fine if they did bring in Miles Morales, but at the same time, he's been this character for a very long time. I don't really see the big deal with another white guy, because eventually they will get to Miles Morales, probably within one of these next phases of Marvel. He's coming pretty soon, as much as they're talking about it. I just think it's kind of dumb. People are literally getting mad about him being what he's been for the last 60 years, or 50 years, whatever. It's more of like, I totally think they should bring him in at some point, and they will. They will. Probably within the next, it wouldn't surprise me, the next 10 years, we'll probably have Miles Morales in a movie. And if this Peter Parker dies, like he does in Ultimate Spider-Man, or you get two Peter Parkers or two Spider-Mans hanging out together in the same movie. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah,
That'd
exactly.
be
I think
kind of
that's
trippy, right?
my only thing. I just hate when they kind of take like something like if they made Peter Parker and they didn't make him kind of like white. It's just like I just think I call that lazy, like throwing a character in there. Just like, oh, well, we need to appeal to a broader audience, or a different target audience. Well, we'll just take a character to, let's make Peter Parker black in this one. Call it a day. Boom, there you go. And it's like that just seems like lazy writing. It's just like no. See, where Miles would be perfect because he's a different person. He's not the same. He's not Peter Parker who's, happens to be black and Mexican. He's Peter Parker. Yeah. He's not Peter Parker. He's a completely different person. I think that would be fun to throw in there. But sometimes when they do that thing where they just do like the lazy, just like, oh, just swap race. Who cares? Whatever. Fuck it. There you go. Sell a movie. Like, and that just to me is just like, like there's other characters out there you could throw in there, that are kind of hidden and lost. You know what I mean? It's like, in the DC ones, like, why don't you just throw fucking Black Lightning in there at some point? Like, he could use some fucking light shone on him. He doesn't get used enough.
Black Lightning or Static Shock, maybe.
Yeah, why not?
I think that like some more characters from the Milestone universe that kind of fused with DC. I think that's one of those things. Just to clarify what I was saying, because the way I said it probably may sound like a fucking arrogant, like little dipshit, which I kind of was to an extent, but not as much as I was pretending to be right there. I was kind of like in the sense like, okay, is he this in the comic book? Okay, keep him that. Now I'm at the point though where if you got the right actor, it doesn't really matter because there's a rumor for a little while. We talked about this. There's a rumor for a little while about Denzel Washington playing Lex Luthor, which
would have been
that
amazing.
Right there. Which we're gonna get to the Superman Batman trailer, which was awesome, and I'm still really looking forward to that movie. But I'm gonna say, we got to see the movie first. Jesse Eisenberg ain't selling me on Lex Luthor.
Well, I'll tell you this. When I saw the new trailer for it and they have Jesse Eisenberg in there, you know who he looks like? Actually, you've never seen this, but in Superman 4, John Cryer plays Lex Luthor's like nephew. That's who I feel like I'm watching. I feel like I'm watching if John Cryer's character grew up.
Remember that character, the little punk rock,
punk rock kind of guy. Don't get me wrong, I love John Cryer as an actor, but like it just reminds me if that guy grew up and took over Lex Luthor's business, that's who Jesse Eisenberg is. I don't feel like I'm watching Lex Luthor. I feel like I'm watching his nephew. And I'm not saying it's like okay, Jesse Eisenberg, he's a perfect example of an actor. That when he first came out, I'm like, dude, he's just a ripoff of
Michael Cera.
Yeah, Michael Cera. I'm like, he literally just like stole Michael Cera's act. It's like he went into the bathroom, fucking beat him up, took his act, and walked out. Maybe did a little bit of raping. I'm not too sure, but he won me over because I saw like when we saw 30 minutes or less. That was when I was like, oh, okay, so he's changed up. He's become more of himself. He's not just a ripoff actor. So he has,
that's of all movies, like, because most people don't like that movie. All movies to turn you around on him is 30 minutes or less.
I don't know why people don't like the movie. I've only seen it once. That one time we saw it in theater, like a late showing, and we're like one of the only people in there. I thought it was good. I'm not gonna say it was an amazing one, but I'd like to go pick it up and watch it again. That's how good it is. I just never seen it. I don't know if I've even seen it in stores or a DVD copy of it. I don't even know what the cover looks like.
He was good in Now You See Me. He was definitely good in that one.
He was good in The Social Network, too. So, I'm not saying anything against him as an actor, but as Lex Luthor, it's just, I don't know. It's just, especially when they announce, other people, when they said Denzel Washington, you're like, oh, my God. Denzel Washington? That is, the perfect person to play it. Or Bryan Cranston. That's awesome. But then they have this thing, it's like, he's old. We hate old people. And it's just like, what's wrong with old people? They're old. And they are old. And you're like, is that all you got? Because I'm sick and tired of, that old thing. It's sort of like with Wonder Woman. People always kind of give up that, shit where it's like, you say something like, why isn't Lucy Lawless? I know she would have been perfect in the 90s, but she's, 44, 45 now? This day and age, somebody who's 40 years old, they don't look like they're 40 years old like they did 30 years ago. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Or was it people back in, the olden time films were in the 50s where the guys are like, oh, he's 35. Why does he look like he's 64?
One reason I think they might be doing that, getting younger people, and I'm not trying to entirely defend this, but I think they're planning on making at least a good 10 years worth of movies. So they want people that aren't going to be looking like they're 50 playing a 30-year-old probably.
Yeah, but Wonder Woman's a 1,000-year-old person, so...
Yeah, I know, but I'm just going off, they probably want someone they could still sell as a hot young lady or something like that for a little while.
Yeah, well,
so, I don't know how old Gal Gadot is. She looks like a great Wonder Woman. She looks like a really good Wonder Woman, especially in that trailer.
She looks okay. I'm going to have to see the movie to see it, because I guess to me it's she's not big enough. Like Wonder Woman needs to have that like muscular build, the intimidating look. I mean, I'm not saying she looks bad. She just doesn't look like amazing like she should. She compared to Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill, she just doesn't look like she's up to par with them. Because it's one of those ones like I like when in comic books when they draw Wonder Woman where she's taller than Superman and she's not like more muscular than, but she like looks down at them because that's how big of a warrior she is. And in this one, she just kind of has that look. It's like not saying that strength can't come from, you look at Bruce Lee. He doesn't look, big, but he can lift just as much weight as probably any bodybuilder. You know what I mean? Yeah. He has that strength. So it's not saying that size has to like endure strength, but when you're selling a movie, it kind of sort of does.
No, I get what you're saying.
And I'm once again not saying not saying anything totally against her. I'm not going to bring her down. I mean, maybe she will be fine. It's just, that's a big role to take upon. And it's once one she looks like good enough. I mean, that's where I'm going to leave it at. The movie will decide there.
Yeah, we'll get back to the trailer in a second, but we got a little off topic
for back to Confederate flags.
I'm now at the point.
Fucking people taking them down and bringing down America now. No.
Well, it went from one thing to another, and I was going off.
Really, I like how it led from Batman kind of calling Spawn boy, and that for some reason.
The Confederate flag, back to superhero shit. No, but like, I guess I'm at this point now that I'm a little older, because before I just that's how I feel about it. I don't care anymore. But now looking at it like, well, I don't really got a whole lot to bitch about. So maybe letting someone else, of another race, it's not that big of a deal if they play this character or not. Or before, I probably would have been more against it. I still feel like if you can get who's ever just perfect for the role, just get who's ever perfect for the role. And for a minute, they throw around names about like being radical about it. Like they're mentioning like this goes back way to like late 90s, early 2000s about Will Smith playing Superman. I'm having trouble imagining that, but someone else, they said, like, they mentioned this a few times on Smodcast, Idris Elba playing Batman, which that's not the first person to come to mind, but that guy is in such good shape and he just has a lot of charisma. I could actually possibly see that. I think we're a little ways off from that one.
But this is how I would do it if I was going to do it. That would have to be an Azrael Batman. It shouldn't be Bruce Wayne. Like it should be, it's like just like Miles and Spider-Man. He shouldn't be Peter Parker that should be it, but he should be the other one, and that's Azrael would be the perfect one. Just like make that, if you want to do that, have Azrael play Batman, because then you're going with the continuity, and it's the logical one. He's the first person to put the Batman cape and cowl on, other than like Superman putting it on just to like confuse people. See, Bruce Wayne and Batman aren't the same people.
What I think that it's one of those things, like I still probably would. I'm not just saying this. I'll probably go with the white guy to be Batman first, just because that's what I've seen Batman as. He's been that for 75 years. But I don't think it would be that big of a deal if they got just the perfect actor to play who's a different race to play him. If they got the perfect actor who wouldn't be that distracting upon it. You know what I mean? It's like, it would be kind of like I said, Denzel Washington to Lex Luthor if they got that.
Yeah. And Denzel Washington, he's like the kind of guy, he could play a Justice League movie, and he could play every character in it. It could be the one-man Justice League show, and you wouldn't even complain. You'd be like, this is perfect. If he was playing both, like Batman, Superman, Lex Luthor, the Joker.
It's like The Parent Trap, but with Denzel Washington.
Wonder Woman. Martian Manhunter.
Fuck yeah, dude.
The one-man Denzel.
Fuck all these other DC movies coming out. I want to see that. Denzel Washington
everybody.
Is the Justice League.
He's just everybody. Even people on the street are all Denzel Washington. Nobody else. There's no other actor in it.
I want to see this movie now. Yeah, fuck yeah. Fuck all that other
But that's, like, Denzel Washington's such a good actor, like, he could play anything. And I think that's kind of I just kind of hate when they just do the thing where they slap in a different race just to make them...
Just for the sake of variety.
For them feeling like, oh, this is how you be diverse. And it's like, no, that's not how diversity works. That's like cheating to be diversity. You should write an actual legitimate, like, Jon Stewart in there. You know what I mean? You don't just slap, like, a shade of dark over Hal Jordan. No. You make his own character out of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I will say that I think that this is kind of going, because this was some controversy. As regarding the whole Johnny Storm thing, for a while I was kind of like, because I always just, like I said, if you've seen this character for a long time, that's just how you imagine him in your head. The way this whatever, just something close to what you've seen in the in the comics. That being said, though, Michael B. Jordan, every movie I've seen him in, he's been really good. So I'm kind of
he's a guy that's in the Apollo movie, right?
Yeah, he's Creed. He's in Creed. He was in Chronicle. He was in Fruitvale Station. Everything I've seen that dude in, he did the voice of Cyborg in the Flashpoint movie. So everything he's been in so far, I really like.
Well, no, yeah,
so
I think him and Fantastic Four, I think that'd be fun. The only thing at first I questioned, I was like, wait a second, how are they related now? It's like, is it one of those like...
I think Sue's adopted.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. But like that's one of those ones where you just kind of go, that's fine. You know, like that's one of those ones where it's like, I don't think that's so bad. At first, because I thought when they said they're like, oh, there's going to be a black guy in like the Fantastic Four, and I thought they're talking about the Thing. I'm like, oh, so that's that seems like a weird way to go about it.
You just spray painting them orange.
Well, yeah, it's just those ones like, oh, it's that goes back to that joke of like that you have where like at the Halloween party, like the black guy always wants to like be part of the group, and then every single time he's always in a costume where you can't see who he is.
It's kind of like, I like that. Well, because I mentioned that one time. I was at a Halloween party, and there's these people that showed up in these fantastic, like, it was like, of all things, Spider-Man 3 came out, and they're just in these fantastic, like beyond Comic-Con level outfits of Spider-Man.
Almost like they raided the wardrobe at Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, well, it was like Sandman. The guy had these big foam arms that were actually really well detailed and spray painted, and little patches of sand all over them, which is kind of weird. It's just of all the things. I mean, I like Spider-Man 3. I know it's flawed. I like it, but I'm like, oh wow, someone else really likes this movie. That surprised me. A very well detailed, like, you know, black Venom suit that, like, you know, that mask kind of came out. I mean, they had to buy the mask. We could tell they added stuff to it, you know. Even though she was in the movie, there was a really hot girl there that was dressed as Silver Sable. That was a pretty good one. And then there's Spider-Man. Spider-Man just looked pretty basic. When he took the mask off, he was a black dude with a huge afro. And it was like, oh, that poor guy. Everybody, like, he couldn't be Sandman. He couldn't be like anybody, you know, couldn't be like the, there was, who else? Oh yeah, there was like James Franco, like Green Goblin, which that one looks pretty cool too. So when I saw, like, oh, that poor guy, he just has the standard Spider-Man outfit. Granted, he's the linchpin, but he's just the standard outfit, you know. So then, like, we had this joke, like, whenever that group goes to like a Halloween party as a big group, like if they go all as Watchmen characters, he goes as Rorschach, everybody else goes as something else. If they go as like with a Pokemon crew, everyone goes as a human character. Pikachu. He goes in a giant foam Pikachu suit.
Like he's always has to be that.
And he's like, motherfuckers, it's kind of like the reverse thing. Like there's a great joke in Family Guy where, what was it? It was, they're all at some kind of convention. He says, okay, the winner is the A team with the actual black guy. That it pans over. And then there's like all these other, like, you know, teams of like A teams. And there's like a Jewish, like, Mr. T. He says, shouldn't have spent so much on this medallion.
We're going to take a quick break right here, but now a word from our buddies at Painted Black Podcast. Take a listen.
I'm Pete, that's Brian. Yeah. There's Lou. We are Painted Black Podcast. We are Painted Black Comics.
If you could describe the show, what would you describe it?
Horribly offensive.
Balls to the walls.
A good time.
I don't know. Unprofessional. I wouldn't be surprised if fucking Barney heard some screaming from next door. Right?
Hey, yo, Fred, I got kicked out of the house. Can I stay with you guys for a little bit?
No, Barney. We're not friends like that. You better go stay with the zoo.
Yeah. Dum-dum, you should have said yes to your wife. Can you imagine what Disney World would have been like had he lived longer?
No Jews. That's the primary difference.
Yeah. I feel like he funded the Nazis in some way. Like, I can't prove it.
The first fucking model of their helmet had ears on it.
Oh, the Basketeers are coming over the hill. What the fuck's going on?
Dosan sounds like a Renaissance painter.
He was a Fifth Ninja Turtle. He wasn't right in the head. They didn't really bring him out too much. I'd like to fight the foot.
That's probably why they had those stupid ass toppings.
Bubble gum.
Fuck, who let those Santos order the pizza?
I want stink bug.
Who put Legos on this shit? Can I give you money for sex?
I would enjoy you making a transaction for a blowjob.
Can I get a receipt with that pussy?
Oh yeah, how do I follow this?
Do you wash those briefs with starch?
Make that booty clap. Why don't you?
Let's hear Randy Newman doing the song for Pompeii.
Oh, he's on the spot. Whoa, it's smoke. Volcano. Whoa, it's the smoke. Vesuvius.
Back to races and comic book movies.
I feel like we are a little. Well, the last part we got down. The first part we might be a little underqualified. As two white Americans, let's talk about race.
Well, it's just one of those ones.
Fucked up, right?
See, and I feel like it's being proactive by making by using the actual characters, in their actual roles. You know what I mean? Like, don't change. Make a new character. I'm gonna use the Green Lantern one as an example because that's kind of how Green Lantern works. It's like you got the original Green Lantern guy, white guy. You get the second Green Lantern guy, Hal Jordan, another white guy. You get the third Green Lantern guy, kind of like a douchebag white guy, but for some reason I kind of like him a lot. But then you throw in John Stewart in there, and that's where it adds the diversity. And then you get the next Green Lantern guy, and he's a gay guy. You got Kyle in there.
Was Kyle Rayner gay? Kyle Rayner was gay?
It's the gay Green Lantern. I've never read a
That's
book,
actually...
though, where, like, fucking Hal Jordan and, like, John Stewart walk in, like, hey, Kyle, surprise birthday parties! And they're just getting, like, pounded by, like, I don't know who, but...
Kilowog.
Kilowog! It's like, oh!
Don't tell the Guardians they can't know!
It was like, oh, wow, they really decided to, like... It wasn't like they just kind of, like, hinted at it. They just full-on busted in on it.
The space fish man is like jerking off in the corner. I don't remember his name, but you know what I'm talking about. He looks like a bird.
Yeah, I know. It's
Tom Array.
It's just like, well, now he's.
It's wrong, but it's fucking hot. And if it's so wrong, why does it feel good? I'm so full of confusion and questions right now. Oh my god, DC just won so many awards for being the ballsiest.
That's the intro to the new Green Lantern movie. Fucking, it's Hal Jordan, John Stewart. It starts off, they got like a couple of cases of beer. They're going up to surprise Kyle Rayner on his like 26th birthday or something like that. And they bust in. And instead, no, it's Kilowog's just fucking bent over the back. It's just like this huge, like, kind of like, green orgy of a bunch of men. Some of them using the power ring for, things that it says in the handbook not to do. You are not supposed to finger...
The blonde girl with the ears just sitting in the corner texting, not part of it.
For it. She's like, oh, they paid me like 500 space bucks to do this.
This shit is so going on Snapchat. No, don't do it!
Oh, no!
The Guardians have an account on Snapchat. They follow me. Don't do it. Don't tag me.
They won't let me teach the war classes anymore after this.
We are all very wise. We've been here for many years, but this we do not understand.
Kilowog, they pull up the video.
Explain yourself, Kilowog. Look, I got needs. I'm a person. Just make the next Green Lantern movie like just this court case about how like a homosexual soldier is still fit to fight in war.
Yeah, or a whole group of them.
Yeah. And then, so basically at the very end, it's just like, you four are excommunicated from the Green Lantern's Corps. Then like, Hal Jordan stands up, then I am too. And like the raccoon stands up, me too.
John Stewart stands up.
They all stand up. It's this very triumphant moment,
But it works perfect too because there is that, it's kind of like a reverse one of like there's that John Stewart one where John Stewart like blew up an entire planet and then he's on the courtroom case and then they kind of like he gets thrown to space prison and then Hal Jordan's got to find a way to get him out of there and whatnot.
He didn't really blow it up. It was like
he accidentally blew it up or something like that.
Oh really? Okay, because there's an episode where they made
that's in the Justice League one, but there's also in like the comic books there's one like that too. It happens a couple times. There's one book I have. I can't remember what I call it. It's not Justice League, but it's pretty much like some other. It's like Space Justice League, but it's got even like Teen Titan characters in it and whatnot, and where everybody's got to team up and go. And I can't remember who.
Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, Martian Manhunter and John Stewart team up, and then like Martian Manhunter's or John Stewart's like, I gotta take off. I'll go finish this off. It's okay. And he like locks Martian Manhunter in like a green orb. He's like, what are you doing, you fucking idiot? Like, take me with you. He's like, dude, I got it covered. And he goes over to like this generator to stop it, and it's all yellow. He's like, oh fuck! And then the planet blows up because they can't do anything about it because it's all yellow. And this is the time. This is the time
So
when
much
people
for-
wrote Jon Stewart is
so much-
like, "Yo, dog, I got it. Chill out, bro."
Like, even like Denny O'Neil wrote him a little bit like that, kinda. So it's like the what man, put him down, fuck you,
Well, that's
Green
like
Lantern.
1972 or something. This
There's
comic
nothing
book
you
was
could-
like
yeah, there was, like, that's how-
1987, so
They had some time.
yeah,
So that was so much for Team John.
Team John really didn't pay it. Well, it would have if there was teamwork involved. They didn't lock up. Fucking.
But we should probably talk about, I think we already, So about, yeah.
So speaking of like actual movies
I
coming
know-
out, not
no,
the Green Lantern like trial case of like the homosexual like gay rights. Yeah.
Comic-Con revealed a bunch of Warner Brothers actually, because usually I notice most of the movie studios kind of like to just be very secretive and pull down any footage that people put out there, but Warner Brothers has been like, yeah, fuck it, get it out there. Which the two they showed was Superman versus Batman, or Batman versus Superman,
Get that goddamn
and
right.
Suicide Squad. Batman comes first, this goddamn.
Yeah. I mean, I know technically Superman comes first, but fuck him.
Alphabetically, though, it's even in the alphabet. It was decided by the English language. Batman comes first. Fuck him.
There's a line that's in like the Spawn Batman one where like he looks over at Spawn when they finally like realize they have to join sides to take down this like evil lady or whatnot, and he just goes like, he's like, you're almost like a bigot idiot as just, or fuck, that sounds stupid. He's like, you're just as big an idiot as Clark, and Spawn's like, who the fuck's Clark? And he's like, yeah, like the fuck you'd know. Because Frank Miller's Batman's always like putting down Superman like so badly, like he's a fucking asshole. He's a dumbass. He's stupid. He's like a cow with powers.
Mm-hmm. It's like one of those things he puts it in the sense of like, you got all this power, you don't know how the fuck to use it. My shit would be done like in a day if you gave it to me.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like they are pulling from that, because in this new trailer they kind of show that, I mean, chances are if you're listening to this, you saw the trailer, so we'll just speak as if you already saw it. But there's the part where they actually show that Bruce Wayne was within Metropolis the day Superman and Zod were going at it. And I guess Superman, it's almost like a revenge movie.
Where they're going at it. Now it sounds like we're back to that Green Lantern movie again.
Yeah. It all ties in. Well, we saw the two Kryptonians going at it. We thought times changed, and we assumed he snapped his neck in case he told the truth. He didn't want people to know. Like, no, he snapped his neck because he was going to kill the human race. Like, oh, well, shit, maybe I should have looked more into that.
But, yeah, so Bruce Wayne's there. It's supposed to be the story where, like one of his towers goes down, so now he's kind of pissed because people died in it that he liked. He's like, I like that guy.
Yeah.
Joe worked in there. He was, maintenance man.
He was a good guy. I like to get beers with him every once in a while. Then there's like, says, then there is, Frank in accounting. He was cool. You know anybody else? Well, those two are pretty cool, but I'm sure the others.
Well, there's that hot dog vendor guy outside too. He was pretty sweet.
He didn't really work for us. He just kind of rented space from us. We gave him a discount. He's a cool guy,
Yeah, but then a ginormous piece of concrete came down and smashed him and his hot dogs.
Yeah.
And they'll never be there again.
Those are some good fucking hot dogs.
This sounds weird. You know who they need to bring into Batman? A character that's never been used, like in any of the movies, even animated ones, I don't think. There's that guy. They use him you see him in the comic books very rarely, but he's also in the animated series for like an episode or so. And I can't remember what his name is, but he's the guy who's like the maintenance man for Batman. Yeah, I think that's the guy's name.
The guy with the hunch, he can't talk, but he's a mechanical genius.
Yeah, like he built a lot of Batman's like gear.
Yeah.
And he built, because I was thinking about that. I was reading a Nightwing one. I was reading an issue where like it's sort of like ManWing. It was the one where like Nightwing's just, because it's like in the 90s, so he's like, Nightwing's just fucking as ripped and as big as possible. He's got this like hair that's just huge and long, and he's wearing like
he looks like he's working for the WWE.
Oh yeah, he literally looks like he's working for the WWE, and he's just got these big, massive, like hairy forearms and stuff. He's like, yo, Al, what's up? And he's like, oh, Master Dick, Harold here has made you a new Nightwing suit. It's like, oh, sweet, fuck, let me put it on, But it just is
X-Men 92. I want them to do Nightwing 92, ManWing 92. too.
Dude, it's literally, I love ManWing 92. I think that's like the best one. And it's like there's just not enough of it too. Because later on, then he starts going back to being more like Boy Wing and not ManWing anymore. Because he just looks like he's like 35, you know, fucking like just out there fighting crime as this huge fucking beast of a man. But that guy Harold, though, it's like, you know, because the one thing about Batman is like they always show it that like almost Alfred does everything for him, which is technically kind of like unrealistic. There's no possible way that Alfred could take care of all this stuff at once. So I think it's cool. I mean, they put Lucius in there, so that gets him closer. But, you know, if you really just did, and it's kind of like doing something like what Arrow does, or even Flash in the TV shows, where you got Batman, but then he's also got Harold's there, and he's working on the cars and making gadgets. You got Alfred, who's taking care of stuff. Then you got Lucius, who's with the technology, and then you got, what's her name?
I know who you're talking about. Leslie Thompson.
Yeah, Leslie Thompson, who, like, you know, she's the one who took care of, you know, took Bruce aside when his parents died and, like, really kind of has been there for him. And then you maybe have her be sort of like, she could almost take over the medical, since that's what she is, you know. And, like, these are all the few people that Batman's, you know, that know his secret, but why don't we put them all together in just one movie and see them working together as a team? I know they like to make Batman, like, kind of like the one-man war on crime with his faithful butler, but...
Well, I think they are going to do this because this takes place. This trailer shows that obviously takes place some years after his career. So they're sort of doing a Dark Knight Rises or Dark Knight Returns type thing where he is more than likely retired and come back into it, which that's going to piss some people off. But it's a movie, you know, you can't go into all this stuff. So, because they do at some point they show a Robin suit. It's spray painted on it. It says, "Ha ha, Batman, joke's on you." It's like, oh fuck. They probably killed Jason Todd at some point, which it's because I was kind of wondering, because I think we're so ingrained into expecting like origin stories or the full thing that we're expecting kind of like, all right, well, I don't know if we're ever going to see Red Hood because
he's so far down the line.
That means we got to get Dick Grayson. He's got to be there for one or two movies. Then we got to reintroduce
Robin.
ManWing. He's going to become ManWing, and then we got to get to know Jason Todd just from to die off, and then we get to Red Hood, and then this one it just opens up.
Then we gotta get to know Tim.
And then it just opens up, and it's just like, oh, there was a Robin. There's more than one Robin. One of them was dead. So I mean, I'm just going off like the trailer, but I'm gonna assume like that's actually a pretty smart thing to go into it. Just give the audience enough credit. Like, yeah, there's more than one Robin. This one's dead, and later he comes back. I mean, I don't know. Who knows? I mean, never get to Red Hood, but I'm just saying. I think it's kind of cool to acknowledge that, just get that out of the way, because we've seen him with Robin before, and just maybe he could have a younger Robin right off the bat. And, you know, we already have Nightwing. We don't have to build up Nightwing. Yeah. We don't have to build up Robin to get to Nightwing, to get to Red Robin, to get to the Robin after, you know. So,
well, the one thing too is you don't see this in movies anymore, but there's a time period where they used to do like quick little montages to kind of catch people up and stuff. You could so easily just do, and I don't know if people think that nowadays it's silly to have that, like it's almost like takes people out of the movie for a second to have a quick montage, but you could almost literally have one of those ones where like in like let's say 5 minutes or less you have where it quickly explains how Batman got up to where he is at age 50 now or something like that, or 45, and you just have this thing where it shows sort of like, you know, Batman early years, then it shows him with Robin, then it shows him fighting different villains like Penguin, Joker, so on. Then you keep going on, and then it shows Jason Todd dying, he gets another Robin, blah, 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 blah. And you literally catch somebody up, maybe even have, if you want to, have Batgirl get shot, you got Oracle, and now we're at where we are now.
Yeah.
Or you could just do what Arkham Asylum does and just assumes that you know all this stuff already.
Well, and like Arkham Asylum would give you like minimal like exposition, and I think this. I feel like I'm looking at the trailer to this. It's doing kind of what Arkham Asylum games did, where they it's still comic booky enough, like but it takes itself very seriously, because I think that's sometimes what movies have trouble doing. They either has to be very serious and very real life, or it's just kind of like a fun romp. And
well, because you either get your kind of like Dark Knight Rises, or you get your Batman and Robin. You know what I mean? Where it's either like you're going to go full on Batman 66, where it's very campy, or you go so serious that it's grounded in reality that you lose out on your fantasy sci-fi elements and the fun factor.
I still love the Christopher Nolan trilogy, but this one right here, though, it still looks like they are kind of walking that line between the two, like the Arkham games.
Because that's what I'm saying, is that line between Batman and Robin and Dark Knight Rises, it's a perfect example of going almost too far in each direction.
Uh-huh.
give or take on like, because I like both those movies a lot. So as somebody who likes both of them, I can look at them and see like, obviously Batman and Robin, that's like really far campy. I mean, that's, as campy as the 66 one ever was, if not even more. But I like that stuff too, because that's part of my Batman that I grew up on. And then you get Dark Knight Rises, which is so grounded in reality that we lose the sci-fi fantasy element and the fun factor's kind of gone. Which that's where I always thought Arkham Asylum is perfectly in that center area, which is kind of where the comic books mostly are too, where you get the fantasy, you get the sci-fi, it's still a serious story, but it does still have a little bit of fun thrown in it too.
Which I'll say, I already I had no doubt that he would do, I was sure he'd do good once I heard it was him, but it wasn't, I already got a set image in my head of how he is and who he is, so that might throw me off, like, that's not Batman, that's Affleck. I'm sure he would do a good job right from the get-go when I heard when he was.
But once again, just like the movies that we like that nobody else seems to like, I like Ben Affleck a lot in Daredevil. So to me, I was like, hell yeah, he was in Daredevil. Like, is that not like a selling point? I mean, I guess to everybody else.
Well, I guess it was for me. It was one of those things like I seen so many of his movies. It'd be like he's such a big star that you kind of know right off the bat who you're looking at. You don't really.
You're not looking
Christian
at Bruce
Bale.
Wayne, you're looking at Ben Affleck?
Yeah, we're kind of like Christian Bale, right when he got cast as Batman. He was in some stuff, but he wasn't really well known. He wasn't like, he wasn't like a huge star. So
like I didn't know who Christian Bale was when Batman Begins came out. So
like once I looked into it, like, okay, so he was the racist in Shaft, and he was like a few other things,
But those movies came afterwards for me, so.
Yeah, so it's one of those things like later the movie, so that one right there, I was able to just kind of view him as Bruce Wayne and Batman. But now, since it's Affleck, he's such a huge star that it's kind of like, I almost feel like that might obscure what I see him as. But then watching this trailer, though, that was all set up right there. Watching this trailer, though, and hearing him just talk in the Bruce Wayne voice, not even like a Batman voice, that all obscured. And he's actually just kind of like, I honestly think, like, there's a reason he turned down directing for a little while to go, because he won an Academy Award for Best Picture. He did 3 really well critically acclaimed films. The one he won the award for, I think, is his weakest one, but still a fantastic movie,
yeah.
Argo. I think The Town is
like the
Town's his best movie.
Badass movie.
I love The Town.
Gone
Baby Gone was fantastic.
It was such an underappreciated movie too.
Yeah, and I think it was almost, so there's obviously something that's going to pull him away from that just to be a star and wear tights. So now watching this trailer, though, he was fucking selling me on everything. That is like kind of, when I was watching this trailer, that looked like Batman. Both, like, he is Bruce Wayne, he looked ripped, he looked buff. And the suit, that looked like Batman. Well, even reaching the point where
it's like the town in a sense, because that part where he's doing pull-ups and you're like, holy crap, Ben Affleck's fucking huge, and you like you mostly never thought about that ever because you never saw him like, I mean, if you saw him with his shirt off in other movies, he just, he was fit, but he wasn't like bodybuilder fit. And the town, I just remember going, holy crap. And then
in this, and then like this, I mean, granted, people could say, oh, they're just using this to sell toys, but it's the first time in a Batman movie I can think of they're doing the Batman variants. You got like your standard Batman, you got super suit Batman, and then you got like desert warfare Batman, And
I don't know, why do people think that's such a bad thing? They always do that where it's like, they do the same thing in Batman and Robin. Now, Batman and Robin, just whatever somebody can find, the nitpick now, it's like they'll nitpick everything. Even if something was good, they're going to nitpick it just because people have this such hatred towards it. But they always do that thing where they complain like, they just switch suits in there just so they can sell more toys. And it's like, as a grown adult, I'm like, I still think that's cool when they have different suits in there. I want to see all these kind of different suits. Why just stick to just one? Like, it's sweet when you get to see that. Or, like, the different vehicles and so on. Like, I want the fucking Batman, like, Bayou, like, scooter thing. Why not? On the ice. It doesn't make any sense, but it's cool.
Like, I think that right there, like, so just seeing this, and plus, at first, when I first heard they were doing this movie and saw the first trailer for it, I assumed, like, okay, so it's probably going to take place in Gotham and Metropolis. They're probably just going to go back and forth, be slapping the shit out of each other at the end.
That's what I literally just like hits one of them, they fly back from Metropolis to Gotham. Just like,
yeah, exactly. Because he's wearing the super suits. They just do it. So one of them just like slaps him, he falls back. It's like, oh, that motherfucker flies right back, does it?
So it's literally like season 3 of like Dragon Ball Z almost. Just like that's the entire movie is just this huge battle.
Exactly. That goes nowhere. It takes place in a 15-foot radius. Or I guess in this case, a couple 100-mile radius.
15-foot radius.
Well, that's what fucking Dragon Ball Z did. It took place in a fucking 15-foot radius for like 3 seasons, or for one whole season. For one whole season. Season 3, I meant to say. But no, this though, it does look like it's all worldly, like it's going everywhere. There's obviously something bigger going on. At some point, you see Batman fighting a bunch of guys wearing Superman bands around them, which I'm guessing. Here's what I'm gonna guess what's gonna happen, and I'm not gonna be all mad if they don't do this, but I'm guessing some other soldiers from different governments probably say, no, we don't acknowledge our governments anymore. We acknowledge you because you're a badass and you're Superman. So they try and do whatever they can to help out Superman. But I'm going to guess at some point, this is just a guess. They're not Superman. They're human. So they're going to fuck up. And then that's going to make Superman look worse. Then Batman's going to be in, you all fucked up. Fuck you. Just come in. And, that's what I'm guessing is going to happen at some point. And like, we're just trying to do good for Superman. You fucked up. So I'm guessing that's really what's going to happen at some point. And they showed like Wonder Woman for a minute. I'm guessing what's going to happen is the debate of who would win, Superman or Batman. Lex Luthor's planning something on the side, obviously. And then Wonder Woman comes in, quit measuring dicks and let's focus on something more important.
Measuring dicks, and she's like, just zips it down, just flops it out.
Just hits the ground.
And then Jesse Eisenberg just goes zip, and it goes out even longer, just rolls out. Like, what the fuck? It's not what.
Buddy, there's a reason why I'm in charge. Which I will say, I am really looking forward to this movie. I'm more looking forward to this movie than Suicide Squad. I can't think of a movie I'm more looking forward to than this. But
I'm looking more forward to this movie than Star Wars, and that's saying a lot.
Exactly. But
so if they slap Batman,
Jesse Eisenberg ain't selling me. Jesse Eisenberg ain't selling me. Still, I still want to see this movie, and I hope he knocks it out of the park. And hopefully, the wig. Hopefully, he just takes it off. It's a bad wig, or maybe he gets his head burned by heat vision or something. But he ain't selling me just because he's so kind of like slimy and swarmy. You know what I mean? I really imagine, because you got these two Titans just heading. Because you watch this trailer, I kind of see how. Because even though Christian Bale was a fantastic Batman, I think I would still have trouble believing him going up against the Superman.
Because Christian Bale's kind of a smaller guy. He's athletic, but he's not like big and bulky looking.
Yeah, exactly. Then watching this trailer, I totally see how these two are going at it, and they kind of make sense of how they're fighting. Now, I know in real life, because I'm a Batman fan, Batman's a badass, he wins. Realistically, he has to train a lot. Really, if he caught Superman on a bad day, like let's say Batman did something to piss off Superman would just bottle it up for like 5 years. When Batman was at least expected, he just bitch slap him across the room. Now we're even bitch.
Yeah.
Then he's in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. I know that debate. But it's a movie, so they're gonna write it where Batman is either wins or ends at a stalemate, probably. You know what I mean?
Batman's got Superman on the ground with like stabbed him like a bunch of times of not red kryptonite, but just regular kryptonite, and then he's like, I knew this part was coming, zips it down, just starts fucking teabagging him as the credits go up. Giving thumbs up.
Just looking at the screen. Just look at the screen, like squatted down. Just slapping.
Then it just starts to fade to black, but that's all you can hear as the credits are going up.
No music. Maybe the occasional no, you hear that. Or you hear the occasional moan, like in pain from the kryptonite. Just
Goddamn right.
Just look at it, even after the credits, it still holds. Like people are like, it's like a secret scene after the credits, like the Marvel movies. People just sitting there waiting. It just goes on for another 5 minutes. It's just still the same thing. No, but I think though, I am still looking forward to this movie. I just don't. So as I was saying though, you got these two. I can see how these two guys are going at it because they are on each other's level watching this trailer. I could see how Batman sticking up to Superman like that. But then you throw like Jesse Eisenberg in the middle, God's come from the sky, not hell. It's like, what the fuck you doing, dude? Get out of here. I want him to do good.
Lex
Hopefully
Luthor's like fucking nephew showing up now.
Hopefully that happens. Hopefully they are like trying to do like a fast one on us.
Oh wait,
it
actually is Denzel or Bryan Cranston.
or it's like the fucking Rock comes in. The fuck you doing out of your cage?
The Rock would be a perfect person to be like Lex Luthor. That would be an awesome choice. It'd be a weird one, but like you'd be like, No, that's perfect. You think about it for 2 seconds, you go, nope, that's right. I could see that.
Because you could, I mean, The Rock, he's not a dumbass. People like to make him out to be like these, like, you know, this macho meathead,
Yeah.
which he does have qualities of that, but he's not a dumbass. You see him in interviews, he's pretty quick-witted, he's smart.
Yeah, he's a wrestler. That's like the only way you can be, because people kind of forget sometimes that wrestling is like, that's a much harder acting than a regular acting, because you don't get second takes. You go up there, you're in front of people. I mean, it's more extreme than even somebody on, like, you know, a wrestling actor is better than a theater actor and a cinema actor, because the thing about theater actor, they get a lot of practice. Cinema actor, they can take a lot more takes. When you're in wrestling, that's it. You're up there, and you're fucking. Lots of times you're just kind of winging it, because you know you got an idea in your head what you're gonna do, but you're winging it. So that's where I think that like that creates a super actor.
Exactly. I agree with that right there. And you not listen, because, you know, you just see kind of like how, like, oh, he's talking shit on Randy the Ram's coming for you. You know, they get that. Man, I just realized
Randy the Ram.
That's not even a real wrestler. I just pulled the first one that came out of my head. That's from the wrestler. No, but you get that whole, like, you know, stage dynamic. But then you listen to them like in interviews, and they're usually always pretty, you know, got a firm head on their shoulders, know what they're talking about, and plus to keep your body in that good a shape for all the shit you put it through, clearly you got to be, you know what you're doing, you know. So I think that he actually would be a perfect Lex Luthor, really. Even like the animated version looks kind of like him.
Yeah, exactly. Because a lot of times people get confused. When they see him like in the Justice League show, they always think he's a black guy. They don't think he's actually white.
He could. I mean, I always assumed
because he's always very tanned.
I assumed he was a white guy with a tan, but I mean, he could have been like, you know, half black or like a little Hispanic or something. But yeah, so
yeah, the Jesse Eisenberg part, I think that's the weakest link of the entire movie.
Oh, the trailer,
I guess. And it's one of those ones, as I said, like it might be one of those ones where he might act 120% of what he can do, but at the end of the day, there's always gonna be that thing. Like acting is still quite a bit of look. You know, you can act your way out of a lot of stuff, but the look is still there. I mean, if it was a radio play, then maybe like it doesn't matter what you look like. You know, if it's an animated movie, then that's fine too. But the second that you're on screen, you almost want to look the part, and he definitely does not look the part.
I'll say Jeremy, like he just doesn't look it to me. I hope he does it good. I hope he proves me wrong. I really want him to. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't want him to do bad, and even I'm sure that he's not even going to be. I'm sure he won't do horrible. It's just he doesn't look intimidating in comparison to the other two guys. And it's not just a might thing. It's just persona-wise. There's a part where you see Superman kneeling down and looking at him, giving a hateful look, and like Lex Luthor is kind of giving like this cocky smirk to him. It's just like, I'm not in any way intimidated or believing that right there. But I mean, we got to see the movie first, and I hope he knocks it out of the park. But so another part of it, I mean, we only saw him in two or three like quick shots. But I'm actually kind of curious to see what they do with Alfred, because Alfred, I hear in this version, he's not just his butler, he's more of just his assistant, which that's actually kind of an interesting way to go about it. Maybe we'll get gun-toting Alfred from Jeff Johns' Batman. But
yeah, I like gun-toting
from Beware the
Alfred
Batman as well. Yeah. So
yeah.
But he looked like, I kind of looked, because he looked like Jeremy Irons. I mean, he looked kind of like he could be an Alfred, but he almost looked kind of like a little bit more suavely, kind of stylishly dressed, and not just your typical kind of like. I mean, I love Alfred. He's a fantastic character, but not your typical Alfred that we've seen a million times by this point, you know?
Well, I noticed that the Jeff Johns, the Cockney, you know, like 007 Alfred is he's almost like the new Alfred. And I don't think that's anything wrong with that, because to me it just adds more to the character.
That's my favorite Alfred.
Because he still keeps all the traits of the old Alfred, but now you just add this 007, you know, ness to him, a super spy over it, and it makes it even better. Because, you know, you got, not only do you have Earth 1 Jeff Johns, you got Beware the Batman. Even in that the Batman versus Robin animated movie, they got him shooting a gun in that one and doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
In the Gotham TV show, he's kind of like that character too.
I kind of like the idea that like he didn't get all his training from him, but Alfred gave him some of his training to an extent.
Well, like in my personal view of Batman, I always feel that Alfred is almost his main trainer over anything else. That's how I look at Batman. Like, yes, he went around the world and got all these other ideals, but his core all came from Alfred. That's how I like to think Batman is. You know, like when it gets down to like just his regular fighting skills, his detective skills, his like worldly skills, his social skills, all this stuff almost stems from Alfred first and foremost, and everybody else expanded on top of it.
I can see that.
He is his main mentor more than anything else. So if they actually incorporate that, that's what I think would be sweet.
Mm-hmm. So so that's probably the movie I'm looking forward to the most.
The one thing I wish they showed like some scenes of Aquaman in the trailer.
I actually heard what they're going to do. This is just rumor type shit. Aquaman's just like a quick cameo. Like I heard something to the effect of like, this is just rumors. You never know if it's true or not, but at some point Batman breaks into LexCorp's files and he sees a file of like a guy in a test tube trying to break out and underwater. Then you see like another one, you see a quick flash of somebody running by, knocking some criminals down. So it's more of like not full on like, yo, I'm Aquaman and I'm here to help save the day. It's more like, here's a quick little cameo, which I think that's good because we already got Wonder Woman in there. We already got all these other characters from Man of Steel still left over. They're going to bring in more Batman characters. So,
well, I didn't think he was going to have like a huge part. I was expecting nothing more than a 5-minute scene. I hope it's a little bit more than like he's like in a test tube. It'd be cool if it was just one of those ones where it was something like he ran into him somewhere along the line, has a quick conversation, has a quick fight. I don't care what it is. Something just good enough. And then that's all it needs to be.
I can see it. Well, I hope they don't show it in the trailer. I really wish.
Yeah, hopefully they don't do a Amazing Spider-Man 2 thing.
Which I think they're probably doing that with Wonder Woman. I don't think Wonder Woman is going to be in the movie that much. I'm guessing that's probably she'll be there as her. Because she's a UN. She's a UN representative, isn't she? Isn't that her like secret? Isn't there an alternate identity?
Is that what she is in this movie?
No, I'm just asking. In the comics, isn't her day job like a UN representative or works at
I think so. I think because not Steve Rogers, but
Steve Trevor.
Steve Rogers. Kind of similar guys.
Yeah. Both American.
Both American, both military, both, stumble across something.
Something. He stumbled across a shield. He stumbled across a woman. I think one had a better score.
So, like, I think that's kind of how he gets involved in that. Like, I'm not like an extreme Wonder Woman expert, like on all her origins and so on.
I'd have to ask Laura on that, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like I know like the gist, but.
But I think that I think that's her day job is she just works for like a UN Council committee or something to that effect, and it makes sense because that's what Wonder Woman's trying to do, trying to balance the two worlds. But worlds of man and the Amazons. But then you get to I think that what's going to happen is she's going to be there just as a side character, and at the very end, like, oh fuck, it was Wonder Woman the whole time, which I'm sure that would be a really cool twist if they weren't just throwing all this trailer. They didn't just throw all this shit in our face. So it's just like, just leave it reserved. Just have some. I know we because I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little guilty of it. They say like, oh yeah, I say don't show me a whole lot, but the second a trailer pops up, oh, let me see that shit, But I'm trusting them not to tell me too much, because that was the thing with Amazing Spider-Man. They're hinting at all these things that are going to come out. Now they're never going to come out
because they're not making Amazing Spider-Man 3, which is stupid.
They're not making Amazing Spider-Man 3, and they're not doing the Sinister Six movie. They're not making the Black Cat movie. So they're doing all this advertisement for this shit that's not coming out anymore. Maybe it'll be there in one incarnation or another in the next Marvel Spider-Man movie. So I can't
just figure that's like, well, one's like, okay, Amazing Spider-Man 2, like, because I enjoyed that movie, but like, just because a movie falters a tad bit, does that who's going to say that's going to affect the third one? You know what I mean? Like, I think that's such a dumb way to go about it. Like, why don't you just do the Sinister Six movie? I bet you anything that will sell tons of tickets, and nobody's going to go like, oh, I didn't like Amazing Spider-Man 2, so I'm definitely not seeing the third one. There'll be like a couple people that might say that, but they'll come around eventually.
We're at the point, though, where now we have people that even if they don't like, not everybody, and not saying this is the way you should make movies, but we're now at the point, though, where if it's a franchise or a character you like, you may not like 1 and 2, but you might go see 3 and 4 out of hopes this is the one that fixes it.
Well, I'll use Fast and the Furious as an example, because 2 and 3 were the kind of the ones that people, like, for the longest time looked down upon. And they still sort of do. They don't get into big a hate train as some other movies. But it was kind of like Fast and Furious 1. Everybody loved that one. And then 2 and 3 came out, and that was kind of where people were like, well, I guess that series is kind of at its end. It kind of died off. But then they released number 4 and said, hey, guess what? Bring back Vin Diesel, bringing back Michelle Rodriguez, and all like the older characters that you know and love, putting them all back in the movie. Here you go. Boom. And from that point on, you got 4, 5, 6, 7, and there are these humongous movies. You know what? And guess what they didn't do? They didn't just say stop right there and made number 4 like a reboot or anything like that. No, they just continued the story from where 2 and 3 left off.
I think they should do that.
They did a weird fucking like timeline thing with number 3, but other than that, like they just stick together. So like Amazing Spider-Man, just do Amazing Spider-Man 3. Don't even call it Amazing Spider-Man, but make it it's the third one. Use the same guy, because I thought that guy was actually a really good Spider-Man, and just have it be like, okay, now let's say he's in college. It's been years later. And just make it a Sinister Six movie, so you got all these villains he's got to fight. Maybe he teams up with Black Cat in it, and so on. It's just continue on, but don't. It's just so dumb. I don't know.
Well, what they are doing now is, I'm not sure if you heard all the details. I mean, they're not going to release every little detail, but what they're doing now with Spider-Man is it's kind of a joint custody thing with Sony and Disney. Because the thing is, even though Amazing Spider-Man didn't do that great, I think it made enough money, but just not what they're hoping. Which it always sounds so greedy, where it's just like it only made like X million dollars, and we wanted Y $1 million. Just like that's still a lot of fucking money.
I mean, they're like, the movie cost us $120 million. We only made like 240. So you're like, oh well, you totally made your profit then.
Yeah, not as much as we wanted, or as much. That's not as much as what Marvel down the streets pulling in. I think it's one of those things where it was that, and on top of that, everybody was saying, just give it to Disney so they can get Spider-Man in the Marvel universe.
How I'm one of the few people. I'm like, no. I think Sony should hold on to it because I just don't want Disney having everything. I think it's like, if there wasn't that evil child of Disney.
That's different now.
I know, it's different
changing now.
But I mean, like, if there wasn't that, like, it's like, I don't have a problem with Marvel getting their stuff back. And I know Disney's just there to collect a profit. It's not like they're saying, hey, you got to do this and that. I think Marvel's still its own company. It's just the majority of its shares are owned by Disney now, so that they can just cash in on the profit. But at the same time, it's just like, I personally, I don't like, it sounds so weird, but it's like, I would rather see like Sony hold on to their Spider-Man. I'd rather see Fox hold on to their X-Men and Fantastic Four. And I think it's just one of those ones, like, it's that idea of that, like, they don't need to have a monopoly, even though I know it's their own shit, but like, it's one of those ones, like, if they're all owned, the concept of them all being owned by Disney just makes me angry. I know it's like the greater of two evils, Fox and Disney, but like, well, rather see Fox have it than Disney.
Well, I'll say this real quick. I'll say real quick. It's gonna go in a long segue. Who am I kidding? But no. I think regarding that right there, I actually think, because the way Sony's been going about it, I honestly think it's better in Disney's hands or Marvel's hands, because that's the thing of what kind of triggered it. Because they kept on. Sony was like, "Yep, we're gonna reboot it." That didn't happen. We're gonna reboot it again. They then, like, once Amazing Spider-Man 2 didn't do as well as they hoped, which I'd be fine with Amazing Spider-Man 3, but it's not going to happen. What I think now what they're doing is they said what the next one's going to be. They're changing it up. It's going to be more like Ultimate Spider-Man. He's going to be like 16 years old. He'll be in high school.
It's like, get away from the high schoolness.
Well, I mean, he wasn't in high school for too long in the movie series. I read a lot of Ultimate Spider-Man, and I guess that does give a dynamic to all, like, these 30-something, 40-year-old guys in the Avengers. But the thing is, the thing that's the smartest thing about it, though, in my opinion, is they said, we are not doing an origin story. He is already Spider-Man. He is already stopping criminals. He's had a career as Spider-Man for not too long, but he's been Spider-Man for like a year or two.
Yeah.
And so we're not doing a origin story. They've come out and flat out said that. Kevin Feige himself said that. So that gives me a little bit of hope right there, because that's something that even Sony wasn't smart enough to realize. Well, and they even got a great director like Mark Webb to do it.
It's kind of like Sony. They did the mistake. Every single time a movie kind of flops, then they just freak out and restart it. Because that's what they did. You think about it, like Spider-Man 3 didn't do nearly as good, so they just said, which Amazing Spider-Man should have just been Spider-Man 4. But they just go, oh, it's not working. Oh, change it up. And it's like, that's worse. And then like Amazing Spider-Man 2 doesn't do good, so then they get that scared. They just can't stand up for themselves.
Yeah, well, the thing about what's even dumb about Spider-Man, about Amazing Spider-Man was, like, originally it was going to be, Sam Raimi and Tobey Maguire, but then Sam Raimi's like, you know what, it was fun, but I'm done with these Spider-Man movies. Bye. And then Tobey Maguire's like, well, if Sam's out, I'm out. So rather than just getting, okay, new Spider-Man, because they had an idea ready. It was going to have Vulture. It was going to have Black Cat. It was going to have Scorpion. Mm-hmm. I think Scorpion. And then they're like, just like, reboot, So.
And it's just too easy for people nowadays to press the reboot button.
Yeah.
You know, but
We're
I don't
kind
know.
of this is the shit we're better at this rather than like racial politics. We can get this shit solved. Racial politics.
And ours isn't even a racial thing. It's more like the fact we're just kind of saying it's about a flag on a car, but that car never hurt anybody.
Just the good old boys, not meaning no harm. Sing for the fucking car.
You know what I mean?
There was what was the other one? There was actually Suicide Squad, which was like I think the trailer that I'm still more looking forward to Superman Batman. Suicide Squad's trailer was still pretty badass though.
And they even found a way to slap Batman on top of a car there, and you're like, awesome.
And that's the cool thing. It's one of those things. It's not like here's Batman coming to do Batman shit. He's there on the car for a second. You only see him for a second.
It's not like they just have a picture of like the Suicide Squad and they have all the guys stand there, and then all of a sudden Batman just kind of like steps in front of the camera, so you can't even see anybody else. You just
that's the motion. That's the online motion poster. It's like just them all walking, then Batman just like pops up in front of them,
just like steps in the way and totally blocks it. Sort of like on Orgasmo, whenever they do a sex scene, you just always see the naked guy's ass just step in front of the camera.
Like whenever like a girl's supposed to take her top off, a guy ass just moves right. That's such a great part of that movie.
And that's always like how it is. Just whenever you're gonna have this scene of like these other characters, Batman just steps in.
Which I'm sure Batman will. Who knows? It may just be a quick little cameo, but I think that's cool. The fact that he's in there, that we can just throw Batman. I think that's one of the cool things about having it all be one shared universe. That there they are for a minute. Are they there for the whole movie? No, just for a minute, just so you know they're there.
Well,
that's kind of cool to me.
The thing I really like about the Suicide Squad movie is it's throwing all these Batman characters that sometimes just would never have gotten in a regular movie, I don't think, anytime soon. And characters that should be in a regular Batman movie, which would be fantastic ones. But, maybe now there's a higher chance of them. But, like, when they got Killer Croc in there, it's like, dude, that guy should have been there so much earlier.
He should have. I was so convinced because right, I said this like on our first episode, very first episode, because our first episode was Dark Knight Rises. I was almost like becoming this obsessive fan, looking at IMDb, trying to put things together. There's almost to the level of there being like a suspect board from a cop movie, all these pictures with wires going to different ones. Like, okay, this profile is blank right now. It is this guy from Stargate. He actually looks kind of like how Croc does in Brian Azzarello's Joker book. I think he might be Croc. Why would they just leave that empty? Why? What? This kid down here. Maybe that's Jason Todd. Maybe it's Dick Grayson as a child. Who knows? And then all of a sudden, it's just like, no, they just got lazy. They just got lazy and didn't update their IMDb profile. Oh, that's all it fucking was. Okay.
I know, but like at least in Suicide Squad, now we're finally getting other characters that should have been in like way earlier on too, like Deadshot. Like that would have been a perfect character for the Christopher Nolan Batman. Deadshot would have been ideal.
I thought he was in like Dark Knight Rises for a second, but he wasn't credited. It was just some other guy with a sniper rifle and a
the
red
guy
scarf.
that looks like Deadshot should have been Deadshot.
Yeah,
but yeah. We don't really mention the Dark Knight Rises anymore. Not like it's not a bad movie, but it just gets us into this so far off topic
somewhere else
that we've discussed too many times. But well, other than that, that's like the whole like Suicide Squad. It looks pretty darn good. It looks like you're getting all these different characters that get to show up. And then, they're throwing the Joker in there, which is kind of learned that Joker's just going to get shoehorned into everything. But he looks like he's going to do a good job.
Joker is one of my favorite villains, and I think this is something he fits in fine for. And I know that you can't have too many movies without having the Joker in it come in eventually. I think I'm curious to see Leto's Joker. I'm not gonna lie, as good as the trailer is, the last like 10 seconds of it, where it's like just a quick shot of Leto holding two like lobotomizer like shock treatment like things. I don't know what they're really called. He says like, no, I'm not gonna hurt you. Then he just gets to zoom in on his face, like, and he's looking directly at the camera. He says like, I'm just gonna hurt you really, really bad. And then just the title, like that right there. It's like, all right, you fucking sold me. Because Joker part of the trailer. I'm not saying this to be a fanboy. Mm-hmm. Joker part of the trailer was my favorite part.
Was it? See, for me, it's like one of those ones. I guess to me, it's like. As much as I like the Joker, though, like the Joker's kind of he's almost used in the same way that Batman sort of used to sell random ass comics that nobody would normally buy on their own.
Yeah.
The Joker reminds me of like what they use to sell Batman stuff to people who aren't really big Batman fans. Because it just seems like the Joker now is just like, you know, after Heath Ledger, it's just like and I guess even probably after Jack Nicholson, because Jack Nicholson pretty much did it for a long time. People kind of forget that by now. But it's just like you slap Joker on something, it's just like, oh, you got you know, the regular audience in there instantly. And I guess to me, like, I see through it, so I see that. Not saying anything against like the Joker or Jared Leto, I know that, but it's like that's how it kind of comes across. Like, you don't get me wrong, I think it's cool that he's in there, but once again, there's 1,000 other villains that will never get the light of day, and he sort of just shoehorns his way into somebody else's spot. You know,
I like how you do it. Like it's like he has a choice. Like it's.
Well, I'm more talking about the character,
not a producer at Warner Brothers.
The character.
I know what you meant. I know what you meant. I know what you meant. I know.
You know, it's sort of that once, like, you know, there's just so many people that could be Black Mask. Like somebody we will probably never see in a movie anytime soon. That could.
I think we start off with a character like this, and then we can get to like someone like Black Mask. I know because we've only. I mean, I guess to us, let me put it this way: to us, it seems like we've seen Joker a million times because we watch all the animated movies,
the games, the comics,
read the comics. So really, when you think about it, this is only like the third cinematic Joker. So
fourth,
and Joker was.
If you count the 66 one.
Cesar Romero.
Yeah.
Cesar Romero, that's a good point. So really, and it's not like Joker's in every one of those movies. Joker was in the first Batman movie, 89, then he's in Dark Knight. And then he's in, if you want to mention Cesar Romero again. And then this. So, I mean, that's more than other characters, but still, that's not, into the public eye, who don't really keep up with Batman a whole lot.
Much, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, so but to us it just seems like, of course, he isn't Joker. But I mean, it's an interpretation that looks really interesting to me. Mm-hmm. It seems like Joker, but still seems different enough to where it doesn't. I mean, granted, we're only going off like 10 seconds of footage, but I'm glad that the trailer was emphasizing, because for a while I was worried it was going to be the Joker movie. The trailer was emphasizing the Suicide Squad the whole time, and then the very end, by the way, here's the villain.
Yeah, so I think that's cool. And hopefully it's like he won't be just the only villain. I hope there's actually some other... I mean, technically the Suicide Squad, they're all villains that are your good guys in a sense, that weird Dirty Dozen philosophy. But I hopefully hope there is kind of some other guys thrown in there. But at the same time, you can't complain. If all the people you're getting the Suicide Squad, yeah, what was there to complain about, you know?
According to IMDb, Johnny's in it.
Oh, really? Huh.
Johnny Frost, yeah. Johnny from the Joker book.
That's cool.
Brought by Brian Azzarello. He's going to be in
I like that book.
Now, I'm guessing it's going to be PG-13 just because it's a Marvel superhero movie.
A
but
DC?
I'm really hoping... Yeah, DC. Yeah, how did I make that up? It's like, don't you fucking cross the streams. Don't you fucking say it. You gave me that look.
Well, you know, you could think more... Because Marvel's the reason why a lot of movies aren't rated R at the moment. It's Marvel kind of fucked that up. And I mean, like, whether that's a good or bad thing... But, like, in a sense, we were going at this time for a while where rated R movies were so prevalent. And it was great because it was like, oh, finally, people have accepted it. People are smart enough to say, hey, my kid's fucking 8 years old, but he could handle a fucking Rambo. Like, he's not a fucking pussy. You know, and we got to this age where it's like, you know, there was just a copious amount.
That'd be a good marketing tactic. Rambo, is your kid a pussy?
Yeah. But, you know, we got to this point, and then I think once the popularity of Marvel hit, it's like producers go, well, what sells... This PG-13 because you can take the whole family to it. You know what I mean? And so then we got back into a PG-13 era, and it's really, I think, due to the Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy being these ones, and that's why our Terminator 5 is PG-13. That's why our RoboCop was PG-13, and many other movies, or even our Total Recall, and so I'm going off all these fucking like 80s movies, but that are remade.
All these 80s remakes,
and like sequels, but that created a spawn of PG-13. Even like, I'll say this, that's kind of why our Mad Max, I think, is not as R as can be. Is sort of due to that. But, you know, and that's not complaining against the movies. You know, they're still really good. You know, that's fine. But the Suicide Squad movie almost feels like if they would just tiptoe into the rated R, I know they won't. I know for a fact it'll be PG-13. But if they could just tiptoe into that rated R and just, like, respect the fans, just that extra step and saying, you know what, this stuff is very serious stuff. You know what's a serious movie? A rated R movie. Let's just go the extra mile. You know
what? I think it just might, because that we're gonna. I think eventually we will reach that point. We could have like an R-rated Batman movie or something. I think we could reach that point. Mm-hmm. And Deadpool is coming out, and that one is going to be rated R.
Yeah.
And as far as I can tell, that was Colossus. He was fighting at one point in the trailer. So this is taking place in the same world. I'm pretty sure it's all taking place in the same world.
As the X-Men.
So, is the X-Men. Maybe it's not, but I'm assuming it is. But regardless, though, it's sharing actors and characters from previous movies in this one, and it's an R-rated film. If 20th Century Fox has the balls to try that out, possibly this might, because you got a director like David Ayer, and even if you saw him at his Comic-Con, he just kind of comes out just all like, just let you know, comes out all baseball cap, chest puffed out, like, hey guys, this is for the fans, okay? We're not making a movie for anybody else. We're making a movie for the fucking comic book fans. And, you know, I'm not trying to start like an East Coast, West Coast, Marvel versus DC thing, but DC's got better villains. We just fucking do. Someone's got to speak the truth. That's what I'm fucking doing. Watch this shit. Points at the camera, and that's when. So it's one of those things like that right there. I mean, it kind of gives me. I know he's doing press, and you know, of course he's not gonna be like, yeah, we made this movie. It was kind of fun. You can't really go out.
Or he goes like this, like, oh god, oh jeez, you know. I don't think I should say this, but you really don't want to see this. You did a horrible job. I mean, we tried our best, but here.
You still want someone going out there like, hey guys, how you doing? Hey, Hall H. Woo! Yeah, that's great.
You just want to see him like chucking like, here's an Iron Man stuffed animal. I want you to beat the fucking shit out of it, and toss it in the audience. People just start ripping it apart.
You want to see that? No, but you just don't want to see the guy just come out just like. I wonder if you've ever had that in any of the Hall H things. Like, yeah, so we tried really hard, guys. We really did. I'm supposed to come out here and tell you how great it is. It's not, but please see it. I got a kid I got to put through college. We thought this was going somewhere, but I know we're not going to get a sequel unless everyone here please do that. I'm here. Sorry. It just walks off the stage and they comes out like, any questions?
Like half the people have already left.
Yeah. So yeah, you can't do that. He's got to come out and just be like, yeah, man, this is gonna rock your fucking socks. Here is Ghost Rider. You know, they gotta do that shit. So,
which goes really. I'll say this: if they want to bring Ghost Rider back, like make him rated R, make him like in that kind of Punisher like world, like that's what he needs to be. You know, get like Charlie Hunnam to play him because he looks just not aside the fact he's in Sons of Anarchy, he looks like Johnny Cage. Yeah,
I get him mixed up.
No, not Johnny Cage. Johnny Cage from
Johnny
Mortal
Blaze.
Kombat.
Johnny Blaze.
Yeah.
He looks just like because he looks like Kurt Cobain kind of, you know.
Yeah.
So that's who you want. You mean Nick Cage? No offense to Nick Cage, but Nick Cage.
Yeah. I know the Johnny Cage thing's now confusing you.
Yeah, just like, the fusion dance.
Nick Blaze.
Yeah, no offense to Nick Cage, but he does not look like him. I get what they're trying to do, and we want to be a superhero, but just. He doesn't look like him. Sorry.
I think it's one of those ones where you just get a point. He's like, well, I wasn't able to play Superman, and there's some other superheroes I wanted to play. Well, this Ghost Rider thing's all I'm going to get, so fuck it.
I was looking forward to it, then I saw it was PG-13. I was like, oh, well, we'll see what happens, and I walked.
Really, I'll say this. If Nicolas Cage grew out his hair like in Con Air, I think that would have worked then. Think about that, like, look. I mean, Nick Cage has such a definitive look. He's always going to look like Nick Cage no matter who he's playing, but if he put in just a little bit extra effort like that... Mm-hmm. I think that would have pulled off the Ghost Rider a little bit more.
Well, I don't even hate that movie. A lot of people are like, that is the worst movie ever. Like, you know, but I don't even dislike that movie. It's like, it's okay. I could appreciate it that it's like trying to be like a modern day, like demonic Western. Like that. It's one of those things. It's kind of like that combination I should love. Demonic Western, modern day. That is like a perfect combination. You had Sam Elliott in there as the original Ghost Rider. There's some cool moments in there. But it was just all too, it was too quick. It was too slapped together. I think if you gave it some time and made it R, you could have had probably an awesome movie. But we're getting off topic on that one. So Suicide Squad.
But going back to Suicide Squad, really, because David Ayer, all his movies are rated R pretty much. I don't think he's ever done a PG-13 movie that I know of.
He hasn't.
So the thing is, if they made Suicide Squad R and stood by it and had the balls just to go, yes, it's got Batman on it and it's a rated R movie, and it doesn't have to be like full-on R. It could just be like, like a good R movie. It doesn't have to be like to the extreme, like maybe a Punisher Warzone or something like that. Mm-hmm. But just R enough that you could take the material even more, just that extra seriousness. That right there would break the Marvel like PG-13 wave and say people go, especially if the movie does really good, and go, no, we can go back to that Matrix level where there's rated R. Because Matrix, I would say, is kind of the start
of
almost like. Well, but Matrix is that start of like where you can make rated R movies and they could sell really well.
Yeah.
Because in the 90s, that was another period where there was a lot of PG-13 movies, and people were kind of afraid to make rated R movies unless they were totally geared towards adults. And Matrix was that one where it's like, it was a rated R movie, but you brought your kids to go see it, and everybody loved it, and nobody really questioned it. And from that point on, you got a bunch of other series that were rated R. You know, you got like, what the fuck else was rated R at that time period? I was gonna say Underworld, but Underworld's not rated R, is it?
It is rated R, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so you got Underworld, that's rated R, you know, and then you have all like, then you start getting like towards the progressive end of it. You get Rambo coming back, full rated R, like as extreme as can be, and so on. And then there's just a bunch of other like miscellaneous movies in between.
Resident Evil. I mean, I'm not a fan of them, but they make money.
Yeah, Resident Evil was all rated R. You know, it was a time period where you could really sell movies to like a big generation of people and have them all be rated R. And then once the Marvel wave of like their Marvel Studios movies kind of came, and especially I think due to the Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy, that created where people have pretty much turned everything back into PG-13 again. So if David Ayer would be smart, and DC and Warner Brothers would be smart, and just said, hey, no, Suicide. I mean, Batman versus Superman. I think Superman and Batman can always be PG-13, like stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's fine. But take Suicide Squad. You got a bunch of like random ass villains. Villains, might you? Just go that extra distance. Make that one your rated R one. Because I'm not saying everything has to be rated R. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I think they might do it though. Here's the thing. I think they seriously might make it rated R, just because if you look at that trailer, and if I was taking out the politics, if you're just taking out, you know, standard, you know, comic book movie politics, you just look at that trailer, you'd assume that's a rated R movie. I mean, yeah. I honestly, I'm on the fence. I mean, part of the one side of my brain is saying PG-13. The other side of my brain's going like, well, it looks like a rated R movie. It's directed by David Ayer, and everybody in it is like a criminal to some extent. The most noble character you have on that list is Katana, and she becomes a hero, but she started off as like an assassin. So, you know, yeah. It all leads, and that's one of those things. Like that's this movie. The fact this movie's coming out, it's like, what characters? I'll be honest, I didn't know who Slipknot was. I had to look up Slipknot. Like, oh, that's a guy from Identity Crisis. Then you had Katana. Then you had you got Harley Quinn, Killer Croc, Deadshot.
Is Captain Boomerang
in it? And then Captain Boomerang, he's in it. Captain Boomerang's in it. Yeah, but he looks more like
I thought that was Captain Boomerang, but he didn't throw a boomerang to like signify that he was it.
Well, most of the shots you saw like some thugs firing guns and like just weird.
He had like mutton chops, and that was like what I assumed that must be Captain Boomerang.
I saw like the blue coat, and then like it looks like he's wearing maybe like a soccer shirt underneath it. That makes sense, whatever. But you saw it was like weird ass shit you would see like maybe in a David Ayer movie. Like you saw like a guy in a panda bear firing a machine gun. There's somebody. It was a really creepy shot of like somebody looks like they're in robes. They're wearing like a goat head with horns, firing a machine gun. Yeah. So in like really dark lighting. Enchantress looks like they're trying to do the whole like she is not so much a villain, but she's like possessed and tormented by, you know, the Enchantress side, because that's her split personality, Jin Moon, Enchantress, and she looks like some really weird, creepy but cool imagery. Like she's like in a bathtub of like she's like in the middle of like what looks like an asylum room, but she's in a bathtub with all black water, plants sticking out of it, and like an upside down pentagram right over her. So
yeah, so I mean, there's so many things in there that just makes it look like it's like this should be rated R. It looks like it's gonna be, and it's one of those ones. Here's for example, Batman: Arkham Knight it made the step in saying, you know what, let's make this game is already borderline mature. We'll just go that extra step. And it's not like it's full on. It's not like you get the Batman Arkham Knight and next thing you know, it's like, well, yeah, now you can take the Batman tank and you can like run over villains and smash their skulls in. And Batman's now ripping people's heads off.
Like a replay of it, like a replay just of the wheel, like crushing some villain's head in slow-mo.
Well, like, you know that part where like you have that guy, you're like, where is the Scarecrow at? And you got like the Bat tank over him and you're like revving it up over his head.
Yeah.
Just to the point where like, it's like, if you really want to, you can just step on the gas and just smash his head in like you're the fucking Punisher or something like that.
Like it's not he's like driving, he's like humming to himself, murder, 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 murder. He's like singing the Batman and Robin song.
Yeah, it's not like it's just that. It's like it takes just that little extra step, slaps the mature. Because I was really so surprised when I saw a mature rated title or a rating on Batman Arkham Knight. That just does to me. It's just I didn't think they'd do it because they're like Batman still. They feel like they still got to sell to like fucking stupid little kids, or not really kids. The kids are the problem. It's the stupid parents out there who still aren't smart enough on how to raise a kid properly, that it's okay if you show them rated R stuff, It's
Okay.
just you don't be.
Parents don't understand. It's okay to show your kids Batman. They're the most important parenting lesson. It's okay to show your kids R-rated Batman. It's okay. It's okay. They don't understand. The kids will get it. You may not.
Well, when I see some of these stupid young parents out there nowadays that are kind of like, oh, I don't know if I should take my kid to go see Jurassic World because, you know, it's scary. I'm like, well, how
He's
old
a
your fucking kid? He's
pussy.
8 years old. I'm like, he's 8 fucking years old. He could handle anything at that age. I was fucking 5 years old when I saw Jurassic Park, the original one, in theater, and I was by myself, sitting by myself, and I had no problem whatsoever. I'm like, now your kid's 8 years old. Nowadays, two kids just seem more advanced anyway. So it's just like, when I hear that kind of stuff, it's just like, I mean, like the Batman Arkham Knight game. I mean, like, what? I mean, like, the kid that's like under 8 years old. He's not gonna have like be able to play that game anyway, so it's gonna be too complicated for him in the first place, even if it was a teen-rated game. So it's like, who cares? It's like you're selling to like kids that are 8 and above.
I just got the image of you walking out of Jurassic Park. Like you just sit in the theater by yourself, and then when you walk out, you're starting to grow you're like 5 years old. You start to grow a mustache. You have like a cigarette hanging out of your mouth. It just happened. Like I'm a man now, Ma. I just saw Jurassic Park.
Exactly. It's just one of those ones. Like I think that's the worst thing that people can do because I just think about when growing up. You see the kids that aren't allowed to watch rated R movies and play mature rated games and so on. They're always the kids that grow up way more fucked up because they get to that point where they're just like they're trying they're trying so hard to see all this stuff, and now they're like going totally against their parents and all this kind of stuff. And you notice the kid that was allowed just to see rated R movies from like day one and play mature games, they always turn out to be the nicest people. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those ones like that bothers me. So hopefully, going back to Suicide Squad, if they can just have the balls to say we live in an age now where people aren't fucking as like weird about, you know, a rated R movie and taking kids to see it and so on, and just going like, hell, like your target audience is going to be from 10 to 100. Isn't that good enough?
Yep.
You know,
I think some people who don't even know it's a comic book movie will just wander in there like, oh, is that fucking Batman? Is that the fucking Joker? Oh, he has tattoos now. You know, I think there will be people that actually will be kind of surprised and actually kind of like caught off guard, but in the good way, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know. Bottom line is, hopefully they'll make that rated R. Other than that, I mean, the movie looks like it's going to be sweet no matter what. But it's just that extra degree. We all know that pretty much just about any movie, you make it rated R, it just makes it that much better. And it's not like saying it's like, yeah, because you're going to put in like, you know, language and drugs and titties and stuff like that. So it's not that. It makes the movie more serious. It makes the movie feel like you're watching an adult story. Like, it gives it that extra bit of edge that you can do some things with maybe a little bit more violence, maybe a little bit more, even just thematic stuff of like, kind of like, okay, we can have this darker scene. We can have this event in here that you wouldn't be able to show in a PG-13 movie, but this element can be shown now. And I think that's what makes a movie better. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna lie. Some of my favorite movies are PG-13, but I do think I'm like, you make that movie rated R, probably be that much better. But that's the bottom line.
I think this one might. We'll find out. It might. Who knows? I think they're waiting to see. I honestly, because it just looks like an R-rated movie, just the way it's shot, the way it, you know, the vibe of it, David Ayer, the fact that he's directing it. But who knows? I mean, I'm kind of prepared for it not to be, but if it is, that just will make it that much better.
Yeah, I'm thinking it probably won't be, but if they really want to be ballsy and if they want to step up over Marvel, the one thing Marvel's not doing right now is they're not doing rated R, and not counting Deadpool because that's Fox. But Marvels, they're not doing rated R yet, so who knows? Maybe that Punisher show might be it, because the Daredevil one, it's like it has a TVMA, but it's not really rated R. It just feels like PG-13. If it was a movie, it'd still be PG-13.
Have you got through the whole series of it?
I got through most of it. I still need to finish it, but
it feels like a rated R to me. It's more of a handful of moments, like the part where they decapitate the Russian dude with the car door.
See, that to me didn't feel like rated R. It still felt like I could see that in PG-13 movie because it didn't full on show it. It was more like implied that he was busting his head off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let's just say.
But then the whole thing of
if it was the Punisher Warzone movie, we would have saw like a full on head just explode everywhere like that.
That's a good point, yeah. But I mean, that's still R to me at least. And then you have the whole concept of like, you know, human trafficking and all that kind of stuff and stealing a kid. So you don't see that in very much PG-13 stuff. But I mean, I think it's more in tone and vibe.
Yeah,
more than actual violence.
We'll say it tiptoes onto a borderline R, but it's not. Let's say this: it's not Punisher Warzone R.
No, it ain't. No.
So it's not. It hasn't gone that far.
Mm-hmm.
But that would be the one thing, though, because that's the thing that Marvel's not doing. Because even Daredevil, we can still say it's tiptoeing R. It's not full on R. It's tiptoeing into it. If they can just do the full R for Suicide Squad, I think they can outbeat Marvel that way.
Mm-hmm.
But that's probably a good place to leave off at, because we went on for quite some time on all kinds of different stuff that I'm starting to forget what we went on. But till then, check out oldmanorange.com for more podcast, animation, videos, and more. You can find me at Twitter at Spencer S. Holmes, and you can find Dunigan at
Dunigan Ryan.
And till then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunigan.
And we'll see you some other time.
Later, folks.
Thanks for listening to the Old Man Orange podcast. Check out our website at oldmanorange.com for even more podcasts, cartoons, videos, music, and more. Send us an email at oldmanorange.podcast@yahoo.com. Be sure to subscribe, share, rate, and review us on iTunes, Podomatic, or any of the other fine sites we might be located on. And if you want to help out even more, click on the Amazon or GameStop links on our webpage before you make any purchases there. It won't cost you a penny, but it sends us a little something our way. Thanks again, and tune in next week for more Old Man Orange Podcast.